All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Yo, welcome into a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench. I am not T-Bob Hebert, nor am I Jacob Hester. Taylor Sharp sitting in with you for the remainder of the week. Our guy Jacob Hester hard at work. Will be on a flight in about 2 hours. He's heading out to Detroit to cover the NFL draft. And then T-Bob, his brother is getting married out there in Florida, so he actually caught a flight this morning. So, look, we're hanging out with you. We're going to do a ton of draft recap. We're going to talk LSU softball and baseball. Have a few guests along the way. We got Alondra on audio. We got Cassie on video. Cassie, what's going on?
Nothing much this morning. I'm pretty tired.
You tired because you were fighting with your professor, right? You were telling me about that before the...
I was fighting with my professor.
So, Alondra, I know everybody thinks that, Cassie's super quiet, right? She was telling me that she had a 30-minute presentation that was supposed to be yesterday.
Oof.
Sent a very ugly email to her professor demanding to do it on Thursday. And you know what? Our girl got it pushed back.
Let's
so
go.
shout out to
Super
Cassie.
proud.
Okay, so we were supposed to go on Thursday, and then he just sent out a reminder email on Monday, and in the reminder email said that my group is going on Tuesday, and I was like, that's not right.
You weren't having
and I
that.
was not prepared, so I was like, I need to go on Thursday, and I won.
Love that for her.
Alondra, how are you? I know you got in kind of late last night.
Yeah, doing well despite that. It's all good. We're going to chug this Red Bull and we're going to keep it pushing because I got to go to Lafayette with Matt later.
Oh, you got to go to Lafayette.
Yeah.
It's a bad day anytime you have to go to Lafayette. We'll get into that later as far as softball goes. Our guy T-Bob also not having the best morning. I told you that I was feeling a bit under the weather. You're tired. Cassie's in a bad mood because the professor's mean.
Hey, but positivity, what a way to freaking start the show. Just
Oh, yeah. No, so I'll read you guys, and Alondra, you've already seen it. The text message that we were sent in our OTB group chat from T-Bob this morning. So while he is not with us today, he is certainly in peak T-Bob form.
Yeah.
He says, the damn interstate is shut down by NOLA at 4 a.m. because idiots don't know how to drive.
That's not what he said.
Well, I cleaned it up a tad. Followed by, Taylor, this is somehow your fault. And then, what do I say other than my apologies? And then I get a text right before the show.
Yep.
F you, Taylor, I made it. Nice try. So, our guy's not here, but he's still taking shots. What are you going to do? Alondra, I was telling you the other day, you were asking me about that mystery movie Monday.
Oh, yeah.
So we didn't get into that yesterday.
Yeah.
So we'll just go now. We're already chit-chatting it up. So no free advertising on this show. We know that. So this movie theater that happens to be located at the Jubin Road exit out there in Denham Springs. I'm not going to name names.
There's also one in City Place. Not naming names, though.
Yes, there's also one in City Place. So the Jubin location, this is their first time doing the Mystery Movie Monday. So what that is, it's on their website. You know what time, you know how long the movie is, you know what the movie's rated. That's all you know. You don't know what movie you're seeing. So we're like, all right, let's go try it out. First off, packed out for a Monday night. This is the first time they did it. I mean, it's Monday at 7 p.m. And Alondra, we were excited because there's a lot of good movies coming out. We thought it was going to be the Zendaya movie, the Challengers.
The tennis one?
Yeah. So she's like the tennis player who tears her knee. She
Oh.
can't play tennis, so she's coaching these two guys and then starts hooking up with both of them or whatever. And there's a love triangle.
Good for her.
Yeah. Shout out to Zendaya doing the Lord's work. We saw a movie called Boy Kills World.
Yeah, that sounds so dumb.
It is dumber than you think. I am not exaggerating. One of the top 5 worst movies I've ever seen.
Did you stay for the whole thing?
We did. So we
it's
thought
only
about,
$5. I would have just left.
We thought about the first 20 minutes were awful. It got better after that.
Oh.
If it wouldn't have got any better. So what's his name? The guy who plays It, Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
So he's the main character, but he's deaf and mute, but he can read lips. So it's everybody else in the movie has their voice, but he has this weird narrator behind him. And I don't even think it's Bill Skarsgård because it sounds nothing like him. And it's a mixture of The Hunger Games meets Kill Bill is probably the best way I can describe it. I mean, it's This government agency comes into town and they're like, we need 12 people to be sacrificed for however long. And they grab 12 people out of the city. And of course, a lot of them fight back and all that. Well, he's been trained by this guy that they call the shaman.
Wait, what's it called again?
Boy Kills World.
Oh, okay.
It's like Boy Meets World going off the rails.
I typed in Boy Meets Kill. That
Boy Meets...
sense. Yeah, I messed that up, yeah.
So he's trained by this samurai, whatever he is, I don't know, to go kill the leader, this woman of this government group. And it was just very bizarre.
Yeah.
Was not a fan at all. We were sitting there and like we were laughing during the whole movie. And Victoria's one of those people like super serious, like don't talk during the movie. But like she's leaning over to me the entire time, trying to figure out what's going on. I fell asleep in the middle of the movie. I missed probably 20 minutes of that film, and I don't think it would have mattered. Victoria's like, you did miss the best part. She gave it like a 4 out of 10. I gave it a 3 out of 10.
68% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's way too high. It should be like 48%. Like it's really bad. I really couldn't even tell you what it was about. I mean, it was really, he got trained to go kill this bad lady who's in charge of this government agency, whatever. And then when he gets there, he like finds out that she's not as bad as he thought. And then, you know, a typical spin at the end, but like everything leading up to it. Now the action itself was good. I mean, he cuts this dude arm off, blood spurts everywhere, you know, like good effects, good action and all that. The plot of the movie was absolutely awful. Now, this was the first time this particular movie theater out there in Jubin doing this. They're going to continue to do it. Should I go back?
I would, yeah.
Cassie?
Yeah, I think you should go back.
I think we're gonna.
It could be a better movie next time.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, we're sitting there during the movie and we're like, as bad as it is, we still enjoyed going and being like, because like on the screen, they didn't show you what movie was playing. They're just like, this is the theater. So you couldn't even look up beforehand. And we're watching the previews. We're like, all right, these are kind of suspenseful. Like, is this a horror movie? Like, what's going on? And then like, first 20 minutes were awful. Looked like a fever dream. And then the boom, Boy Kills World pops up on the screen. And we're like, okay, well, I guess that's what we're watching. So, I mean, it was fun. It was only $5 a ticket. So, you know, not a bad outing on a Monday night. Alondra, you worked the baseball game last night, right?
Yeah.
We'll dive into it a little bit more next segment. Just kind of give me your main takeaways from last night.
I mean, 4 home runs ain't going to hurt anybody, you know? 2 from Tommy Tanks, that one that hit the guy in the head, which I'm going to send the video.
Yeah,
Can we play that later?
Yeah,
because
we'll
that was so funny. They interviewed the guy after he got hit in the head, and it's the funniest thing ever. But yeah, the offense looked pretty good. The only thing that's always been my concern, and still kind of is at the beginning of the game, we were still leaving a lot of runners on base.
They didn't score till like what, the 4th?
Yeah, I think it was the 6th where Josh Pearson hit that solo home run. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that, but that solo home run was the first score, and I think it was in the 6th from Josh Pearson. And then Milam hit 1, Tommy Tanks hit 2, and Jared Jones hit 1 as well. So
what, 5 home runs?
5, yeah.
5 home runs.
I meant for 4 different people, I guess is how I
No,
felt.
that's fine. And like, because, you know, when I left, we were sitting right next to each other last night because I'm doing softball, you're doing baseball. When I leave, I'm like, man, you know, we're kind of struggling. I was like, what's the score? And you're like, 3-0 and like the 6th or whatever it was. And I was like, dang, I get down to my truck, get back in the car. Tommy White hits his home run.
Yeah.
Jared Jones comes up, hits another home run. So it's back to back.
Yeah.
And that, you look up and it's like 6-0. I'm like, all right, we're getting this thing rolling.
Man, I was like in the 8th, that home run that the second home run that Tommy hit, it made the score 9-0.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on.
I know.
Give me one more.
So,
well, I don't know what the run rule was, in fact.
I almost had a run rule last night for the opposite reason. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Softball struggling. But Jared Jones hit that ball over the batter's eye.
Yeah.
It went about 450 feet.
Yeah.
I was listening to Doug, and he's sitting there on the broadcast, like, trying to calculate. I'm like, Doug, you don't know. Like, we'll say over 400 feet, like, well over.
Doug is not a mathematician.
No, but he made a good point. Like, I've never seen a guy that hits home runs that high.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, usually when they're high, they don't have the velocity to get out.
To get out.
It was 112 off the bat.
Yeah.
Doug said it was about 40 feet in the air.
He's ridiculous.
I mean, that in itself is one of the more impressive stats that I've heard all year long.
Mm-hmm. I was going to make another.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, also impressive about Jared Jones.
What?
His booty.
His booty? He does. I saw him at Chipotle last week. You were telling me you were like.
And I was like, well, did you look?
Well, yeah. I mean, you glance up, he's in line in front of him.
Right.
You stare up. Yeah. He's out there. Yeah. Nice booty on Jared Jones.
Yeah.
That's where he gets all his power from. All right, look, a little bit of a shorter.
It's true. It comes from your hips.
Yeah, a little bit of a shorter first segment here, but we're going to go ahead and take a break. We're going to have an extended segment. We're going to continue to break down LSU baseball. Then I have a lot of thoughts on this softball team because they are trending in the completely wrong direction. That's all coming up on Off the Bench here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Pinnacle Exterior Construction. PECbuilt.com. Pinnacle Exterior Construction. You need any exterior construction. Outdoor kitchens, fences, bulkheads, living space. Like, they do it all. What about pools, though? Okay. Pool season right around the corner. In fact, if you listen to the show, you'll know that in my infinite grace and wisdom, I deemed pool season officially underway. Okay? So, if you want to hop on board in just 2 weeks, Pinnacle can build your pool. You take a spec pool, you choose from a bunch of different templates, choose a bunch of detail work, and again, in just 2 weeks, you have the pool of your dreams thanks to PEC. PECbuilt.com.
And when you hear spec pool, we're not talking about one option, two options, not even three options. We are talking about multiple options, and they can go through them with you. You are going to have something that looks custom, and it's going to be done in 2 weeks' time. That is not lip service. That is fact. PECbuilt.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar.
Join me for a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Koki Riley recapping LSU and Nicholls, and we're one day closer to the NFL Draft. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Welcome back in to Off the Bench, a Wednesday edition of OTB. Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Abear. We dipped our toes into LSU baseball a little bit last segment, but I just kind of want to recap right now how the scoring went. So LSU defeats Nicholls 9-0. Left fielder Josh Pearson, he homered, along with second baseman Steven Milam and first baseman Jared Jones. They each had a solo home run, but it was really Tommy White. He goes 4 for 5 on the night. He hits 2 home runs. He gets 4 RBIs. He's now hitting .341 on the year with 15 homers and 41 RBIs. And for a while, he was struggling in SEC play, but we talked about it a couple days ago. His SEC average is getting up now as well. He's in the 285 range, creeping back up to 300. It was Ronnie Rance a couple weeks ago. It was, I believe it was after the Vanderbilt series. He was like, look, Tommy already has 7 home runs in SEC play. He only had 11 all of last year. The difference is Tommy White hit .340 in SEC play last year. He was only batting around .260 in SEC play this year. So the power was there. The average was not. That average is picking back up as well, and it's evident right there with the 4 for 5. Starting pitcher Cade Anderson, he was credited with the win. He's now 4-1. He worked the first 4 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, obviously no runs. And the relief pitching was good as well. You had Christian Little, Sam Dutton, Justin Lohr, Thatcher Hurd, all of them went in. Really, none of your guys struggled. I mean, it's times this year when LSU goes to the bullpen, you have some bright spots and you have some not so bright spots. And it's been like that pretty much every game. This game was completely different. 5 pitchers, 5 really good performances. Alondra, do we have the Tommy White, the guy getting hit in the head by Tommy White?
Yeah, I think Cassie has it.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and play it. This is, I believe it's Lynn Rollins' call with video of the guy getting hit in the head by, I believe it was Tommy's second home run
It
of
was
the
the
night.
second one, yeah.
This is another one. A liner way back. Top row, left field bleachers. Tommy White. Pucker up again and kiss that baby goodbye. Is there any place on the field that he cannot hit a home run?
Boy, that ball was a rocket shot. Now, we got to turn our attention to that fan out in left field who took a Tommy White one to the noggin.
That guy looks woozy out there.
I mean, can we go check on him? Watch this. This is gone right there. As soon as he hits it, it's gone. He knows it. And it is a laser. Now watch the fan. He sees it coming. Oh, he tries to catch it. But it's been quite a long time since he's played catch.
He had a glove and still got in there. I didn't realize he had a glove. I know Cassie mentioned it during break. I didn't realize that he had a glove. That's slightly embarrassing. Yeah. But look, if you're going to take one in the dome, take it from Tommy White, right? It's a little bit of a...
he roped that one, too.
They said it was 107 miles an hour off the bat.
Yeah.
Shout out to that guy. Didn't they interview him after the game? And
Yeah.
he was actually okay. Do we have that?
Yeah.
Let's play that.
I mean, it was on a rope, and I've been carrying this glove with me for years, and I was like, okay, now's my time. I got one coming, and holding the glove, man. What can I say? It beamed off my dome, and here we are. I've got a nice little goose egg.
Can we see it?
Oh, well, I mean, if you want to.
Does it hurt?
It don't feel good. It felt like every bit of a 109-mile-an-hour fastball, home run ball, yes.
Did we get the ball afterwards, or?
No, it skipped over the fence, but Josh Pearson, man, he's such a great guy. He came to toss me their toss ball that they do in between innings, so he tossed it to me. I guess probably Friday I'll go get Tommy White to sign it for me and maybe kiss my Bobo.
Okay, so... Look, shout out to Josh Pearson. I know his heart's in the right place, but getting hit in the head with a baseball and then being gifted a baseball as a gift, a little bit of a slap in the face. Also, I feel for my guy because he's been carrying this baseball glove with him for years. Says this is his first opportunity to catch it. Completely whiffs on the catch, gets hit in the head, and now he's the butt of everyone's joke, if you will, on SEC Network. But look, shout out to him. I mean...
That interview was amazing. It was everything I wanted it to be.
It's always the perfect person that they
Yes,
interview, right?
it
It's always the perfect person to get hit by the ball or interviewed, or like, when there's a crime scene or something they interview, they always find the craziest, just most awesome person to interview. I love that guy. I hope Tommy White does kiss your boo-boo. I don't see it happening, though. But look,
well,
anyways,
I don't feel good.
Yeah, to put a recap on LSU baseball, they get the win 9-0 over Nicholls. I want to focus on softball right now because they lose to ULL, University of Louisiana at Lafayette, out there in Lafayette by a score of 9-4. I'm sorry, 9-4, not 8-4. Look, I was on the board for this game, and LSU looked solid to start this game. They go up, they plate 2 runs in the top of the first inning. They actually knock ULL's pitcher completely out of this game. And this is important because it's not all the time where we see LSU play a midweek opponent in their own house, and then you go on the road and play the same midweek opponent a week later. It's almost a 2-game series. They're so close together, one at home, one on the road. When they were at home in Tiger Park last week, they struggled to score. I mean, they were down 2-0 early. They had to rally to get that win. Now, they got the win 4-2, but it was a completely different game. I mean, it was a complete 180. I mentioned, though, LSU starts out hot. They plate 2 runs in the bottom of the first. ULL, though, they respond in a big way. The Cajuns put up 6 runs in the first inning. It was a combination of nice hits and a lot of free passes. You got some walks. They got to Raylan Chafin. She got pulled out of this game in the first inning, didn't even record an out. Then what happens after that? LSU goes back-to-back 3-up, 3-down innings. Actually, 3 of the next 4 innings would be back-to-back 3-up, 3-down. ULL hit a home run in the 4th inning to make it 8-2. They exploded in that inning. Now, Carly Petty, she cut into the lead. It was a 2-run homer. It made it 9-4. So you're like, okay, look, can you rally a little bit? But it was too little, too late. I mean, that was the top of the 7th inning. So they get 2 runs on the board in the 7th. Not enough to overcome that. And the problem is, when you go back and look at their previous meeting, the Raging Cajuns attack quickly. They score 2 runs in the top of the first, a lot like LSU did. It was a 2-run homer, but they remained scoreless the rest of the game. The reason is because the pitching was a lot better. Chloe Riasetto for ULL came into this game and she shut LSU down last night. In the first game, she got the start. She went 3 2/3 and gave up 4 runs. It was literally a complete 180. LSU wins that first game 4-2. My biggest takeaway of this game, though, it's not the hitting. And I get it. The hitting's really bad. I want to shift this negative game into a positive because, look, you lose to ULL on the road. You hate to do that. You hate to lose to an in-state opponent, especially a smaller school. But the Raging Cajuns are a top 25 team. I mean, they're a good team. They've won over 30 games this season. Those girls know how to play. The positive for me was Madison Manning. So she got the start at third base. And for a while now, this team has missed Danica Coffey. Not just her bat in the lineup, but her glove at third base more than anything. Bettarina and the staff, they've done the best they can to try to piece this thing together, whether it's Maddox McKee, whether it's Sierra Daniel. And neither of them's bat have been bad. It's the consistency at third base. We know how hard of a position third base is to play. Madison Manning looked really good last night. Now, she didn't have a hit, but, I mean, she has some pop in her bat. She hit a couple nice balls deep in the outfield, had some pop on them. They just found the outfielder's gloves, made really good contact with it, but it was at third base. I mean, it was 3 or 4 plays. The ball's one hopping to her. She's got to turn her glove in the wrong direction. She's picking up the ball. She's firing it to first base one time. She looked really good out there at third base. So while your pitching wasn't there, you wanted a better performance out of Raylan Chafin. This team continues to struggle hitting. I mean, outside of Taylor Pleasance and Allie Newland, they've been struggling a lot lately. And even Newland, the past couple weeks, hasn't been up to where she's supposed to be anyways. But look, Madison Manning, it's a name to keep an eye on. She's a true freshman. Ain't much to her, about 5'7", but she's got some pop in her bat. And, you know, we're going to have Coach Bettarina on tomorrow. And I'm going to ask her about Madison Manning. What are her thoughts? Is that someone you can look at going forward? The bigger issue with this team is pitching. Look, Chafin wasn't great, but you bring in Kelly Lynch. She weathered the storm last night for a little bit. She had 3 innings, but she gave up the homers, and then it kind of unraveled for her. ULL wound up going up 6-2. So who do you bring in? Well, you bring in your ace. You bring in Sydney Berzon to try to calm down things. And Berzon's been excellent this year. And so is Lynch. A couple weeks ago, we talked about her throwing a no-hitter over there in Tiger Park. So she's been really good for you. You went to 3 pitchers, 3 girls that you really trust, whether it was Chafin, Kelly Lynch, or Sydney Berzon. None of it worked out. I mean, ULL in their park, they are very hard to beat. Something like 25 of the last 30 games in that park, they have won. So I don't look too much into that. The problem is, outside of Sydney Berzon and Kelly Lynch, you're questionable on the mound. It's not totally dissimilar to LSU. Now, LSU's been able to get a back-to-back good showings from Nate Ackenhausen in Game 3. Can you find someone like that? Someone that you trust, whether it's coming out of the pen or starting, that you can put on the mound to, if you get into a bind, you don't have to go to Sydney Berzon every time. Is there someone outside of her that you trust? Lynch has been that player at times. Now, she wasn't last night, but she's had her ups and her downs. Outside of Berzon and Lynch, though, the pitching staff leaves a lot to be desired, and I really thought that was going to be a strength of this team coming in. I get it, you lose Allie Kilponen, but you have a lot of talent in that room. We'll ask Beth about it tomorrow, what her plans are for the pitching rotation this weekend. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of Sydney Berzon as well as we should, but, I mean, if she can't go, who else do you have? That was kind of my biggest concern as far as last night's game goes. All right, look, we're going to take a timeout. Coming back, we're going to talk some NBA playoffs as a whole, and then we're going to dive into the New Orleans Pelicans, see what maybe they need to do to get back into the win column. They're down 1-0 right now to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They play tonight. Can they even it up out there in OKC? We'll hit on that coming back here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to Coleman Roofing and Construction, ColemanRoof.com, ColemanRoof.com. The most complete, reliable, respected roof company in Louisiana. And I mean it, guys. Great group of guys and gals, too. From touring with him, working with him, getting to know him. Just a dynamic culture. Work hard 24/7, dude. Just like there's a vibrancy, an energy to the company. And if you go look at the reviews, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And remember, it's any size job, commercial, residential. It's anywhere in Louisiana or the Gulf South region. It's any type of roof. And it's also your interior construction as well when something goes wrong. Coleman Roofing and Construction, ColemanRoof.com.
Yeah, go to the website. You can find the contact information in Gonzales, Baton Rouge, Madisonville, Houma, Lafayette. I mean, they're throughout the state of Louisiana. So if you're in our listening area, we are talking to you. And it is truly a one-stop shop. Sure, roofing needs, commercial, residential. They can handle anything there. Construction services as well. ColemanRoof.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR presented by Pluckers. We're previewing Pels Thunder Game 2, recapping LSU Nicholls from the box, and the latest on the eve of the draft. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into Off the Bench. Talked a lot of baseball so far and softball as well. Want to kind of shift focus to the NBA playoffs. They are underway, and we'll get into the Pelicans a little bit later on in this segment, see how their series with the Thunder's playing out, but I do want to kind of just run down the playoffs as a whole. We'll start in the East. So the Celtics are up 1-0 against the Miami Heat. This is a Miami Heat team that once again is the 8 seed. I know what a lot of people are thinking. Hey, they're the 8, but they were the 8 last year. They made a historic run and got to the NBA Finals. That's not going to happen again. I would be absolutely stunned if they won this series. First off, Boston is an entirely different beast this year than they were a season ago. They have the best record in the entire NBA. They have looked unstoppable at times. I mean, there's playoff teams that have lost to this team by 25 to 30 points at times. The Celtics are really good. Also, with Jimmy Butler's status up in the air, how much fight did the Heat possibly have in them? Game 2 is tonight in Boston at 6 o'clock. It's right before the Pelicans Thunder game. I look for Boston to win Game 2 and go up 2-0. I look for them to win it pretty convincingly. The other one I want to highlight in the Eastern Conference is the Knicks and Sixers. The New York Knicks are up 2-0 in this series. There were a lot of people on national ESPN that were like, we don't care that the 76ers are a 7 seed. This team is the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics in the Eastern Conference. I disagree with that. I've always thought it was the New York Knicks, and it showed up. Not only are they up 2-0, Jalen Brunson, your best player, your leading scorer, has not really played well in either of those wins. And it looked like they had that game on Sunday night. They had it. I mean, you're up 8 points with 1.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. In 27 seconds, the New York Knicks come back to tie that game. Then the Sixers are going to inbound it after the Knicks tie it. Nick Nurse is yelling that he's calling a timeout. I don't think he did, because if you go back and look at it, he's kind of hesitant calling a timeout right when they inbound it. Then they inbound it, they lose the ball, and as soon as they lose the ball, he's calling timeout. Nick, you can't call a timeout if you don't have possession, my guy. I get it. On camera, did he call timeout? Yes, but if you go look at where the ball was, that was the correct call by the officials. And there's been so much complaining. Eastern Conference, Western Conference, Lakers, Sixers, we'll get into the Lakers a little bit later, about the officiating. That was the correct call. Go back and watch the video. Nick Nurse is standing on the sidelines. He puts his hand up kind of like this. He's like, do I call a timeout? Do I not? Winds up not doing it. They inbound the ball. They lose the ball. And as soon as the ball's lost, he calls timeout. But the Sixers no longer have possession. You can't call a timeout right there. That's a loose ball. You're not calling. The referees are not going to give you a timeout during a loose ball situation. Sixers turned it over. The Knicks wound up winning by 2 points. That's kind of how the East is shaking up. Now, I think Boston is going to run through the Eastern Conference. I think the Knicks can give them a challenge. I think the Cleveland Cavaliers can give them a challenge because Donovan Mitchell's playing so well, but I really, really think that Boston's going to make it to the NBA Finals. They've just been so good all year. They're such a complete team. You got Jason Tatum, and they're actually the best when Jason Tatum's not putting up 40 to 45 points because they have so many other weapons. If Tatum can get 25 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, that's when they're at their best because then you have to guard Jaylen Brown. He can shoot the lights out. Kristaps Porzingis is one of the most athletic people in the NBA. Peyton Pritchard off the bench, Derek White. I mean, these are playmakers. It's a lot like the Pelicans. They let Zion drive the lane. He dishes it out to everybody, and they have shooters that complement him. Boston does that. They just do it a lot better. They're the best in the league for a reason. Want to move over to the Western Conference right now. There's a few series I'm keeping my eye on. First one is the Clippers and the Mavericks. I really thought the Mavericks were going to win that first game. They did not, but they responded in a big way last night. They get the 96-93 victory, and Luka Doncic did what Luka Doncic does best. 32 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. He's absolutely incredible. He put that team on his back. He carried them down the stretch. This is how dominant Luka Doncic is. He has Kyrie Irving on that team with him. And Kyrie Irving is perfectly okay and content, at least it seems like it, as being that number 2 option. He wasn't even okay with being the number 2 option behind LeBron freaking James. And that's how talented Luka Doncic is. I get it. Nikola Jokic is what he is. I mean, for my money, I'd be hard-pressed to find a better player in the NBA all around than Luka Doncic. I get it. His defense is lacking at times, but, I mean, so is most of the other major scorers out there. Even Jokic at times. He plays good defense when he wants to, but he takes some plays off as well. Luka has been absolutely incredible. But for the LA Clippers, the resurgence of James Harden has been something to watch. We saw this a few years ago when he was with the 76ers, right? He kind of carried them in that playoff series. Now, they ultimately lost the series to the Bucks, but it was no fault of James Harden. Now, look, for whatever you think of James Harden, is he a locker room issue? He can't get along with anybody. He seems to bounce around and always kind of leave in a less than friendly manner, whichever organization he's with. The guy can still play. He's proving that. He looked really good in game 1, which was their victory over the Mavericks. And even last night, I mean, the Clippers lose the game, but James Harden, he's very efficient from the floor. 22 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. He's the true point guard on that team. He can find guys like Paul George, Zubac down low. I mean, this team has talent. This is going to be probably the most competitive series in the Western Conference, at least for round 1. I mean, out of all the games in the Western Conference, that's the one you need to keep an eye on. I do want to highlight Lakers Nuggets here real quick, just because, look, last week T-Bob laid out the free throw disparity between the Lakers and the next closest team. All the Los Angeles Lakers have done this series is whine. And I think that's a little rich coming from them because LeBron James, the LA Lakers, Anthony Davis, they get all the calls. There's no question about it. T-Bob laid it out last week. They were plus 1,000. That's 3 times more than the next closest team in terms of free throw disparity. I mean, what else do you look at other than that? It's sitting there in front of you in black and white. But, I mean, I have never seen a team filled with superstars that always gets the benefit of the doubt, that always gets the calls, that whines as much as this Los Angeles Lakers team. About a week ago, LeBron James sat down on a podcast and he was like, look, I didn't win Defensive Player of the Year. I lost it to Marc Gasol, and, you know, he wasn't even first team all defense, and I was. Okay, sure. Do you have a legitimate complaint? Maybe. But you're not that good at defense. You've never won Defensive Player of the Year. You finished second 1 year back in 2013. That was when you lost to Gasol. You've never sniffed it since then. Play better defense. Anthony Davis the other day said he is without a doubt the best defensive player in the NBA, and the only reason he hasn't won that award is because the league doesn't like him. The league may not like him. I sure as hell don't like him. He played 70 games this year for like one of the first times in his career. Last week when I filled in for Hunt Palmer, I talked about Dante DiVincenzo being ineligible for most improved player because if you add up the total minutes, he only played 63 out of the minimum 64 games. Also, by the way, on that note, DiVincenzo was 9 seconds away in a game from Orlando and 11 seconds away from a game against the Spurs. If he would have had 11 more seconds and 9 more seconds, he would have qualified for the 64 games. He would be your most improved player of the year. So it wasn't just games. It was a total of 20 seconds that he was short on. But anyways, back to the Lakers Nuggets. This series is over as far as I'm concerned. I would be very surprised if the Los Angeles Lakers are not swept. You're up by 13 points on Denver on the road in game one. They come back, they tie it right before halftime. You go into halftime with a 3-point lead. They blow the doors off of you in the second half. So you lose a double-digit lead there. In game two, you have a 20-point second half lead against this team. What happens late in the second half? Once again, they rally, they blow the doors off of you, you turn the ball over, you can't score consistently. The Nuggets win it again. So you've been up by a total of 33 points in the first two games combined against the Denver Nuggets, and you're in an 0-2 hole. LeBron laid it out in one of his post-game press conferences. There's no room for error against the Denver Nuggets. And he'd be correct, but seeing a lot of errors from the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, of course, they're going to point the finger and blame the referees and the league and everybody else. They're not going to take the blame themselves. LeBron's playing well. He's doing his job. I mean, he's 39 years old. We saw what he did to the Pelicans 2 weeks ago. But outside of him, Anthony Davis is good at times. He's been inconsistent. D'Angelo Russell has taken way too many shots. In game one, D'Angelo Russell took more shots than LeBron James. When you are a 7 seed going against arguably the best team in the Western Conference in round one, D'Angelo Russell can never take more shots than LeBron James. It can't happen. This series is over. Chalk it up right now. Get your brooms out, whatever you want to do. The Nuggets will sweep the Los Angeles Lakers. I fully believe that. Now, I bring up all that to bring up the New Orleans Pelicans. They play tonight. It's 8:30. It's on the road against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're in a 1-0 hole, but look, they were right there. They get a 2-point loss in game one. CJ McCollum has a shot up at the buzzer to potentially win that game. If that shot goes in, the Pelicans win. They steal game one on the road. This is a really good Thunder team. They are a number 1 seed for a reason. They are young. They are athletic. They are long. And we know the size of Chet Holmgren down low. That's big for the Thunder, especially since you're without Zion Williamson, who's your best post player. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing on another level. It's tough to contain him. These guys are going to get their buckets. You have to play New Orleans Pelicans basketball. What does that mean? Competent defense, drive the lane with Brandon Ingram, which I thought they actually did a pretty good job of in game one, and hit your open threes. Whether it's a Trey Murphy, whether it's a CJ McCollum, whether it's a Herb Jones. You haven't been able to find that guy who you consistently trust to take that final shot. I personally think it's Trey Murphy. I think that Trey Murphy has shown time and time again that he doesn't get phased, he doesn't get rattled. The moment's never too big for him. Not to say that it is for McCollum, but we just know what CJ McCollum is at this point. He is a solid number 2 option. That's what he was in Portland. It's kind of what he's been here in New Orleans. Most of the time, he's actually been the 3 behind Zion and Brandon Ingram. Trey Murphy, whether he's in the starting lineup, whether he's coming off the bench, he has been such a solid option for you. He's young, he's long, he's athletic. I think that there is nobody in that building wearing a Pelicans uniform that should take the last shot over Trey Murphy. Let's see what they do tonight. You know, there were a couple shots that Murphy had the other night that he passed up on. I'm fine with CJ taking that shot because he's your veteran. He had Herb Jones wide open in the corner for a 3. I would have preferred him pass that off. Now, Herb's not a knockdown 3-point shooter, but when you're that wide open in this level of basketball, you should be able to hit that. We'll see what they do. They got a lot of work to do, but the NBA Finals roll on. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We're going to wrap up hour number 1 coming back. I found T-Bob Hebert's next vacation spot. We'll break it down coming back here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding. You need any type of door. You need hardy plank or vinyl siding. You need wood or vinyl windows. You want to go check out Tommy's. GEAUX Tommy's.com. Look, Tommy was in this game for 27 years, y'all, but he started Tommy's 7 years ago. So after 2 decades of being in Windows, you know what? Okay, I know a lot. I've been here. I've seen it all. But there are things that I would do a different way. And so he makes his own company. And, well, now 7 years in a row, they've been awarded the Angie's Service List Award. That is not by mistake. In fact, we are so confident at Tommy's that for your project, I'm not even telling you just to use them straight up. Just make them one of the bids. You're going to do your due diligence, go collect a few bids, figure out exactly who should get your job, make Tommy one of the bids, and let them prove to you why they have been so effective and grown so much in these 7 years. It's GEAUXTommys.com. Go Tommys. Tommys. Windows, doors, and siding.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales service and finance.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Mark your calendar and invite your friends as we celebrate the NFL Draft Party in style with the Boudreaux's Electric ESPN Baton Rouge Draft Party live from Don Juan's Cigar Bar and exclusively on the 1045 ESPN YouTube channel. Join us Thursday, April 25th at 7 p.m. and hang with the ESPN Baton Rouge Dream Team while indulging in the finest cigars paired with signature cocktails. It's the Boudreaux's Electric ESPN Baton Rouge Draft Party at Don Juan Cigar Bar and live on the 1045 ESPN YouTube channel.
Alondra, where's T-Bob going for his wedding, for this wedding of his brother's?
I believe Florida.
Well, I think he's going to be in Florida again this time next year. I have done it. I have found T-Bob's next vacation spot. Look, he's talked about F-Boy Summer, as he likes to call it, that he's going to have this year.
Yeah.
I think he might have another one next year. A cruise company,
Okay.
Bare Necessities Tour and Travel, they've partnered with Norwegian Cruise Liner
Okay.
to hold the first ever nude excursion early next year. Now, this has T-Bob Hebert written all over it.
Unfortunately, I think it does.
So, the nude cruise, it has appropriately been named Big Nude Boat, is scheduled to depart from Miami February 3rd, 2025. So, T-Bob might be spending his Super Bowl weekend out there in Miami. Look, it's actually going to go through the Caribbean, and guess what day it returns? Valentine's Day. How romantic. So, if you and your significant other want a rather unique Valentine's Day experience, the nude cruise, it is Bare Necessities and Norwegian Cruise Liner. Could we see T-Bob Hebert on this cruise?
I wouldn't be surprised, given his track record, that, he likes to go to Tejas de Brazil. I've heard. I don't know anything about this. But also, he was at that Bass Pro Shop.
Oh, yeah, swimming in the pool.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. He was in the pool with the fish.
Yeah, this is definitely right up his alley.
Also, I don't know if this was before you came on the show or not. I think you were here at this time. He's been talking about wanting to do like one of those LSU cruises for so long.
Yeah, they were talking about that because of the Ohio State one.
Yes, so this is right up his alley. But get this, 2,300 passengers on this cruise ship is what it can hold.
2,300 naked people?
Yeah, if you want to be. It's a clothing optional.
I don't know.
I don't know why you would go on a nude cruise if you were not going to be naked, but here's one of the many turnoffs for me.
Go on this cruise. You could have just stopped the sentence there.
Here's one of the many turnoffs for me. One of their main dining options is a large buffet.
Oh, around a bunch of naked people?
Well, so the thing is, though, you do have to be clothed while eating. And if you're sitting down in all of your glory, a towel has to be underneath you. But look, we say that to say this. There's some pretty good stops along the way. So February 4th, they go to the Bahamas. The next day they're at sea, but I mean, look, it is stop after stop. February 6th, you're in San Juan, Puerto Rico. February 7th, San Martin. Then you go to St. Lucia on February 10th. Back to the Bahamas on the 13th before returning to Miami on February 14th. I mean, look, I'm not saying I would go, but if I were to go, this would be the one. Those are some pretty good options.
I don't know.
Good thing T-Bub's not here. He would force me to go.
Oh, he'd be on board with this.
Get this, the pricing for the cruise. The bare minimum. So, like, if you want the crappiest cabin, they give you $2,000 per person.
What?
The more upscale cabins, $33,000 a cabin if you want a luxurious cabin.
$33,000
per cabin if you want a luxurious cabin. The bare minimum is $2,000 a person.
How do you jump from $2,000 to $33,000?
There must be a lot of amenities.
That's crazy.
So if I got to be naked in front of a bunch of strangers that frankly I don't want to see naked, I'll be damned if I'm paying $2,000.
Yeah, I know.
$33,000 a person, that's like sweet tickets to an NFL game.
Yeah.
More than that, probably. That's a price of a Super Bowl ticket. I could go to the Super Bowl or I could sit there on a nude cruise with 2,300 people and not want to be there. Now, I'm going to have to forward this link to T-Bob Hebert. He's going to be all over it.
Send it to him right now.
Yeah, I wanted to wait for him to get back to get his reaction. I couldn't wait, though. I mean, this is our guy is getting on a plane to go to Florida as we speak.
Yeah.
This time next year, he will be getting on a plane to go to Florida. T-Bob's going to be a part of this cruise. There is no doubt in my mind.
I just don't know why anybody would want to participate in this.
The nudist scene is a very odd one to me.
Yeah.
Again, you do you. I've never participated. It might be a ton of fun. It's just like the people that go are not exactly the type of people you are. These are not supermodels.
Fair.
I mean, these are not people that you want to see in all of their glory. The people walking around in their birthday suits, I imagine, are going to be in their mid-50s. Married couples, probably rich.
Yeah, probably.
Right? Yeah. Tan way too much, so they got that leathery-looking skin.
Well, and then Florida has that swinger community, so it probably is older people.
Which, look, I'm not telling this company how to do business. That should have been on their stop.
Right.
You're
Or like
going
a
to the
charter,
Bahamas twice.
Like a charter from the
swinger community. You can shuttle to the cruise liner and then take it.
That's all your money right there. You don't even need to get anybody else to.
Look at us. We got this figured out. All right, look, it is impossible to segue from that. So I'm just going to tease what's coming up in hour number 2. Look, it was a pretty casual, laid-back hour number 1. We are just getting started here on OTB, though. It's going to be wall-to-wall football for the next 2 hours. Ken Trahan from Crescent City Sports is going to hop on with us at 8 a.m. We're going to get his thoughts on the Saints in the NFL draft. Then one final mock draft. Pro Football Focus put out one. I'll react to that at 8:15. We'll talk what the other NFC South teams outside of the New Orleans Saints need to do. And then at 9 o'clock, it's Preston Guy with TigerBait.com. He's hopping on, talking the craziness that is the NCAA transfer portal. Then could the Tigers be targeting a cornerback? I'll look at some of the top cornerbacks in that transfer portal. All that and a whole lot more coming up. Again, to kind of recap hour number 1, we opened up just kind of a casual conversation. Then we had LSU baseball, LSU football. Then I talked NBA playoffs as a whole, sprinkled in with a little bit of New Orleans Pelicans. What do they need to do to even up this series at 1 game apiece? Coming up, hour number 2, right after this, Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All-Star Toyota Baton Rouge, allstartoyotabatonrouge.com. Go to All-Star Toyota right off of Airline in Goodwood today, very conveniently located. Shout out All-Star. They just got me and my vehicle serviced up. I love it, right? Because when I bought the Siennas, I chose my level of warranty. And it's like what you're comfortable with, but I didn't even have to crack open my wallet for any of the services. Just good to go. And now, all those lights are off. And I mean, the engine lights and everything. It's just a good feeling after they've been on for a while. AllStarToyotaBatonRouge.com. AllStarToyotaBatonRouge.com. It is.
It's like Christmas lights. You don't want to turn them off.
No. I'm glad they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, they'll certainly do that for you. Go check them out if you're buying new, if you're leasing, or if you're renting. We tell you about the rental process every single day because nobody does it like All-Star does it. Everything is available. It is per-day rental prices, fantastic pricing. Even if it's just for 1 day, they have got you covered. Check it out all online at AllStarToyotaBatonRouge.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Welcome back into hour number 2 of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp sitting in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Hester probably on his plane as we speak on his way to Detroit, Michigan. Hard at work at the NFL draft. T-Bob Hebert, not hard at work, but on his way to Florida nonetheless. His brother's getting married. It's one of those semi-destination weddings. He is getting on a plane. I got a ugly text this morning blaming me for the traffic he was sitting in at 4 a.m. So T-Bob in rare form. Okay, we were supposed to have Ken Trahan here. There's no answer. We're going to pivot a little bit. I was going to do this after we had him on, but we'll do it right here. Pro Football Focus put out a 7-round. They did a complete 7-round mock draft of the New Orleans Saints. Now, this did not involve trades. They did do the 4 fifth-round picks that the New Orleans Saints have. We may have him right here. Let's see. Do we have it? All right, we do. Welcoming into the show right now to talk a little New Orleans Saints draft from Crescent City Sports, it's Ken Trahan. Ken, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, look, I know it's early in the morning. I appreciate you hopping on, but if there's anyone that knows about the New Orleans Saints, it is our guy, Ken Trahan. Ken, the Saints sit at 14 in the first round. There's been a lot of talk. Do they move up? Do they move down? Do they stay where they're at? Do you see them making a move? And if they do, would they trade up or trade down?
Well, they've traded up continuously, so if anything happened, you would think that would be the case, although I don't think that would be the prescribed thing to do in this situation. I just think they have too many needs. And I think it's time to invest in capital, which means draft players and try to develop players, as many as possible, because they just have too many needs on this football team. Clearly, tackle is their number one need, but it's far from being their only need. A defensive tackle is certainly a need. A safety, certainly a need. You think about running back. You think about tight end. I mean, there's a lot of situations and a lot of positions on this team where there's need. So with that in mind, I think if anything, you think about staying where you're at, making the picks, or even trading back and trying to get another pick or two.
Now, look, all the mock drafts have the Saints taking an offensive tackle. Everyone's like, hey, it's tackle or bust. But is there any player in this draft that could fall to 14 where you're like, hey, I'm okay if the Saints pass on an offensive lineman if they could take this guy?
Well, I mean, there's some skilled players, obviously, that would bear attention, Brock Bowers in particular, because he's a unique pass-catching tight end. And when you have a guy that has that skill that can make that kind of a difference, there's going to be a premium on that player. My suspicion is he'll be gone before they get to 14. So if you wanted him, you'd probably have to go up and get him, which, as I said before, I don't think is the right thing to do. If he did slip to 14, it would give you an unbelievable decision to have to make, given the needs that you have. You know, Brian Thomas is a really good player. I don't know that he fits at 14, but boy, he's a good player. He's a first-round pick. And a guy whose ability could translate into realizing even more potential at the pro level than what we saw at the college level, where he was a number 2 guy. So I think those 2 guys in particular would be guys to keep an eye on. You know, edge rushers, you'd like to have one. I mean, Jared Verse is good. I don't think Turner's going to fall that far, so I think you're looking at Chase Young being the guy they're counting on if he's healthy enough. So as a result, I think the offensive players I mentioned would probably be those guys.
As far as the second round goes, everything's been offensive line first round, wide receiver in the second round. There's been a ton of guys, whether it's Xavier Legette, Ricky Pearsall, Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman. The thing that everyone's wondering is what type of receiver are the Saints looking for? What type of body type? What do you think they're looking for? Are they looking for that slot guy, or do they need a big-bodied player?
No, I think they're looking for a slot guy. If he's big as well, then that would be a perfect combination. That's why Keon Coleman probably makes some sense in that regard if he's there. But yeah, slot receiver unquestionable. You need a guy that's in the mold of Michael Thomas and what he did for this team. He wasn't anywhere near the same player anymore, but when healthy, he at least could get you the possession catch and the tough catch inside in the slot and take the hit. So I think ideally you'd like to have the slot guy. Ideally, you'd like to have a slot guy that has a little size. That's a big ask. But again, a guy like Coleman certainly fits that bill. If any of those guys would be there, certainly he might be a guy that you make a focal point of that particular pick.
Now, Ken, after the second round, the Saints do not have any third or fourth round picks, but this team has 4 fifth-rounders. I imagine they're going to try to trade some of these fifth-round picks. However, you were talking about how they need draft capital, they need players. What would you do? Would you trade up, or would you simply just draft 4 players in the 5th round and hope that a couple of them stick?
Well, last year they did it. They traded up and got the first pick in the 4th round. You know, and the offensive guard, Saul DeVary, we don't even know what he's capable of doing. Haven't seen him. So they always look to trade up. We've seen that over and over again. But I think they have to make a decision as an organization. What we've seen post-Drew Brees is they felt like they were taking the approach of it isn't broke, don't fix it. You know, they're a winning football team. So they weren't going to get in, on the rebuild concept. They were going to get in on the reload concept and try to mitigate whatever losses they had by plugging people in. And that's the approach they've taken since Brees left. They're at a point now where they have to make a decision as to whether they're going to continue to be that type of organization or team, or whether it's time to simply invest in capital. Look, when you draft players, you have them under control for 4 years at the right money. So the cap is a big issue. They've had to fight that, as you know, the last 3 or 4 years, where they've had to make all kinds of moves just to get to where they need to be from a league perspective. So if you draft players, you control them. You draft players, you develop them. If you draft well, you know the result. So they have to make a decision whether they want to be that team or be the team that they've been, which is to just, plug and play and try to mitigate and plug gaps and play on and try to win a division, which they don't deem to be very good. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I think at some point, nobody likes that dirty word rebuild. At some point, they're going to have to take that type of approach. I mean, let's be honest. You look at this roster, and who are the best players? Who are the most important players on this roster? Cam Jordan is, in his mid-30s. He's toward the end of his career. Demario Davis, mid-30s. Tyrann Mathieu just re-signed. He's, 33 going into this year. Derek Carr, 30s. I mean, I can name them all. Alvin Kamara is 8 years in the league at running back, which is a long time in the league at running back and a bit older from the position perspective. So Ryan Ramczyk, they don't even know if he can play. So, again, you're looking at your core players, your best guys, and you're saying, how much more are we going to get out of these guys and for how long? And if you continue to go down that road and plug and play, it's going to catch up with you eventually. So I think it would be well advised to make picks, frankly, or to get as many picks as you can get. I think the other discussion has been about Marshawn Lattimore. I don't think he's going anywhere based on the comments of Mickey Loomis yesterday. They did restructure with the opportunity to explore a trade earlier this year. But I think because of his abilities and because of where they stand right now and because of the marketplace, frankly, and what they could get for him, which isn't what they would hope, I think he remains the same.
Ken Trahan with Crescent City Sports, our guest right now. Ken, you were talking about edge rusher earlier, but, defensive tackle's kind of a spot that the Saints have been, kind of rumored to be looking at as well. Is that something you could see them targeting maybe in those later rounds, the 5th, 6th, 7th round?
Definitely. I wouldn't surprise me if they went there in the 2nd round. I mean, look, they basically have 3 guys. I mean, they got Brzee, who showed real promise, and I think he's going to be a good player. Their first-round pick last year. Then they got Shepard and Saunders, and they're just guys that basically fill space, and they're guys that play downs. I mean, they're average players. They're not bad, but that's basically what they have, and that's not enough. So, yes, I do think defensive tackle is an absolute in the draft. I think they'll pick one. Where it happens, I don't know. If there's a guy there in the 2nd round that they have rated better than anybody else, I think they go there. But that's a definite need. I mentioned safety earlier. They've got Jonathan Abrams, a veteran, They got Jordan Howden, who's a second-year player, and they got Tyrann Mathieu. They let Marcus May go. Is that enough at that position? JT Gray is a special teams player, really, and not a safety, and he's an ace on special teams. So you got to ask yourself that question as to whether or not you have enough there. You know, at tight end, you got Juwan Johnson and you got Foster Moreau. Moreau's a inline guy, not a threat. Juwan Johnson is a pretty good receiving tight end, but he was hurt a good part of the year and played through it and got better as the season went on. Is that enough? You know, wide receiver, they signed 3 guys, and they already have, of course, Olave and Rashid Shaheed and A.T. Perry coming back, who showed real promise last year. That's a solid position. Could you get somebody better and make a difference? Sure. But you do have the numbers there and should get enough productivity out of that position. And then otherwise, you know, they've got fullbacks, 2 of those. They're going to have 1 on the roster eventually, and they're going to run the ball more with Kubiak here. I can assure you that's going to be the case. And otherwise, from a defensive perspective, I think they're where they're at. The other thing to watch for is whether or not they bring in another punter or whether they're going to stick with who they have because that wasn't the greatest. Place kicker, they like Blake Grupe. I doubt that they draft a kicker. So even though he missed some key kicks last year, they like his ability, and they double down on him and let Will Lutz get away. So I think that's it from the standpoint of where they're looking at. Certainly offensive tackle and who's on the board there. I think there's going to be, based on everything I've seen, I think 7 tackles are going to go in the first round. It's just that type of year where there's a richness of tackles. Of course, the other part of that is, you know, you got to make sure that you get a guy that can play left tackle, because I don't know that they have that on the roster. In fact, I don't think they do. Pete's not with them right now. I don't know or don't think they'll bring him back. It's free agent. And then, of course, Penning has not panned out at that position. If they look at him any further, it's probably going to be at right tackle or at guard. So you've got to have a tackle. And Ramczyk playing right tackle, you don't even know if he's going to be able to play. And you look at the guys in the draft, Joe Alt's the best guy. He won't be there. He's going to get drafted earlier. But who can play left tackle? Well, Fashanu of Penn State can play left tackle. You know, other guys project as right tackle. That's why I think you've seen Fashanu's name on there so often as compared to others, because of the fact that he is versatile enough. He's a good pass blocker and can play left tackle. So I think that, you know, most of the mock drafts have him being the guy if they stay at 14, and I don't disagree with that.
Ken, just one more for you before I get you out of here. You were talking about tight end earlier. Like, if Bowers is the one to fall at 14, you'd have a heck of a decision to make. But let's say he doesn't, because you and I both believe that probably will not be the case. As far as the later rounds go, we know that Kubiak comes from that Shanahan offense who loves to use the tight end. You have solid tight ends on your roster, but none of them are like that inline blocker. Is that what you think they'd be targeting, a guy that they think could be one of those blocking tight ends?
Well, they love tight ends. I mean, Kubiak loves tight ends. You look at the 49ers offense and what they've done, and that's a big part of what they do. So is the fullback with Juszczyk, right? So, again, they're more traditional, the 49ers, in their approach. It's been very successful. You have to have the players to do it. So Foster Moreau is a solid blocker. He's a solid pass catcher, but he's not going to threaten anybody in terms of being a second tackle at tight end, which, of course, we've seen where teams employ that to help the run game. He's not that, but he's a solid guy, you know. And of course, Juwan Johnson is a receiving tight end. So sure, I could see them going in that direction later on in the draft. But again, you have to look at styles and what, you know, this particular coordinator wants. It's clear that he wants to run the football more, and I think they have to put a focus on that and create more play action passing and to use more motion. I think all these things are part of what you're going to see from the Saints this year. And, of course, you have to have the players to do it. The 49ers certainly have that. I don't think the Saints have quite that package. Certainly don't have the offensive line. You know, wide receiver, you know, I mean, somewhat comparable. Running back, they don't have the fullback that the 49ers have, and certainly don't have the tight end like Kittle. So you got to have the players, but we have a pretty clear picture of what they'd like to do.
Ken Trahan of Crescent City Sports. Ken, I cannot thank you for your time this morning. Thanks for hopping on.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Yep, absolutely. That was Ken Trahan there with Crescent City Sports. All right, we're going to take a timeout. I teased it because we didn't know if we're going to have Ken that segment. The final Saints mock draft from Pro Football Focus has been put out. They did a complete 7-round draft. They didn't do any trades. They do have the Saints keeping those 4 fifth-round picks. We'll break it all down next here on Off the Bench. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Community Steel Company, CommunitySteelCo.com. Go to Community Steel today if you need purlin, tubing, steel building, sheet metal, accessories, whatever the case may be. Community Steel has you, man, and they're live, local. They have they have the best prices because they buy the steel directly from the wholesaler. They manufacture everything right there on site. I mentioned the live and local sales team, right? An actual human sales team that you get to know, form relationships with. They know how to best serve your business. And the fact that they're in Gonzales, man, you literally just go pop over and see the product and get to know them in person. It's not email relationships. I'm filling out online order forms. Ask any questions that you want. Look, there's a reason why all these national steel companies are pissed off at Community Steel, and it's because they are disrupting the industry by better serving their customers. So go see them today. Community Steel Company, communitysteelco.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Accutemp Baton Rouge, AccutempBR.com, AccutempBR.com. All your AC, heating, and electrical needs. You want to go to Accutemp of Baton Rouge? Go look at the online reviews, guys. They are unreal, okay? And the reason is because kind of their core mission statement is service to the highest degree. And like I tell you today, that ain't just lip service, my friends, okay? That's real talk. Real talk. Real service. And if you need a whole home generator, storm season around the corner, you make sure that you got that peace of mind. Get that free estimate from AccuTemp. Again, you go to AccuTempBR.com. You can schedule online. You can call them up. And prepare to be blown away in the same way that my wife was the first time we used them. Also, ask about the Star Club membership, where it's just a flat monthly fee and they stay on top of everything for you. Make sure you avoid any catastrophic issues down the road. AccuTemp Baton Rouge, AccuTempBR.com.
T-Bob doing a live read in only a way that T-Bob Hebert can. I'm just such a unique individual. Look, I teased it going into the break that I wanted to break down this mock draft that PFF put out. They put it out Sunday night. I imagine it's their final New Orleans Saints 7-round mock draft. But something that broke kind of in the middle of that segment with Ken Trahan that I do want to hit on. Pete Thamel was the first to report it, but now it's all over ESPN and everywhere. Former USC running back Reggie Bush is getting back his 2005 Heisman Trophy award. The Heisman Trust said enormous changes in the college football landscape allowed us to make this move. If you guys remember, Bush forfeited this Heisman Trophy back in 2010 due to the wake of that NCAA sanctions that went against USC. I was always of the opinion that Reggie Bush never should have given back that Heisman Trophy. And I don't like the, oh, we're going to vacate a win here, or you're going to give back a Heisman Trophy here. I was there. I saw who won. For the past 10 years, if anybody's like, hey, who won the Heisman Trophy in 2005? Well, that was Reggie Bush at USC. And look, you can hate USC. I do hate USC. Reggie Bush might be the best college football player I've ever seen step foot on a field. He could catch the ball. He could run the ball. What does Booby Miles' dad say or uncle say in Friday Night Lights? He can do it all, and he can pass. I mean, that's Reggie Bush. Punt return, kick return, you name it. One of the most electrifying players I've ever seen step foot on the field. Let him back into the Heisman Trophy ceremony. I mean, you had Johnny Manziel a couple months back saying that he was going to boycott it. Now, does anybody care that Johnny Manziel boycotts the Heisman ceremony? Probably not, but maybe Manziel wasn't the only one. He does it, then Tebow does it, then RG3 does it, and then so on and so forth. Well, look, you take away Reggie Bush's Heisman. I mean, you know, there were always rumors of improper benefits with Cam Newton. It was never fully proven, but he still has his Heisman Trophy. They did an entire documentary last fall on Johnny Manziel about how much money he made for signing autographs back when he was at Texas A&M. He admitted to it. You didn't take his Heisman Trophy away. O.J. Simpson still had his Heisman Trophy. We know the controversy surrounding that guy. It was always confusing to me. It's like we wanted to make an example out of Reggie Bush, and I understand that. But again, with the changing landscape of college football, I think this was long overdue. I would have never have given it back in the first place if I'm Reggie Bush and I get a phone call, hey, you have to give your Heisman Trophy back. Okay, well, you can try to come get it. I'm not giving my Heisman Trophy back. There is zero chance that I ever would have done that. I would have said, you can go get the replica that's at USC. They always make a replica that's at every school. Go get that one. I'm not giving mine back. He did, though. He's a better man than me, and he gets it back. All right, look, I teased it a little bit. Want to break it down now. Pro Football Focus on Sunday night put out a mock draft, a 7-round Saints mock draft. This does not involve any trades. It is just the current picks that they are at. The top is kind of what we all thought it was going to be, right? Tackle in the first round, receiver in the second round. After that, though, it gets pretty interesting. So let's just dive right into it. In round 1, pick 14, they have the Saints taking Talise Fuaga, the offensive tackle from Oregon State. Now, I like this pick. I like Olu Fashanu, too. Look, if you're the Saints and you're staying there at 14 and nobody falls to you that you absolutely love, whether it's Olu Fashanu, Talise Fuaga, J.C. Latham, whoever, the best offensive tackle available, you take it at 14. You don't overthink this pick. For what it's worth, they do not show the other teams ahead of the Saints. It does not say whether Fashanu was already off the board. They just have Fuaga going there. I'm good with either one of them. The thing I like about Fuaga is I think he could probably play right tackle or left tackle. He's also really good in the running game as well. We had Ken Trahan on last segment. He was talking about, oh, well, you know, Alvin Kamara's getting older. He's going to need a lot more protection. A guy like Talise Fuaga, who could be a stalwart at left tackle and be really good in the running game, I think that fits both of your needs right there. Round 2, 45th pick. We've all talked about it. It's wide receiver. But which wide receiver? There's been so many there. Is it Xavier Legette, Ladd McConkey, Keon Coleman, Ricky Pearsall? The list goes on and on. PFF has the Saints taking Keon Coleman, the wide receiver out of Florida State. LSU fans know all too well what Keon Coleman is capable of as he torched you in the opening game out there in Tampa. Now, he cooled off as the season went, but look, he's a guy that can play in the slot. He's a big, physical, big-bodied receiver. He's pretty good after the catch as well. Now, his 40 time's not going to blow the doors off anything. He was, low 4.6, high 5.8, 4.5, but, the guy can flat out play football. He's got great hands. He's got great size for that spot. Michael Thomas was a really productive receiver here for a number of years. He was never a burner. Because you have Olave and Rashid Shaheed. You don't need a guy that runs a 4.4. It'd be nice to have, but it's not a necessity. You take what you believe fits a need and a role in your offense the best, and they think it's Keon Coleman, and I'd be hard-pressed to disagree. I will say that Xavier Legette would be my dream here at 45. If he's there at 45, I would like to see the Saints take him. Look, he's only 6'1", but he's about 220 pounds. I think his official weight's 218. Deebo Samuel was 6'1", 215 coming out of the draft. You hate to make the comparison because it's easy. They both went to South Carolina, but we've seen how Deebo was used in the Kyle Shanahan offense. You got Clint Kubiak coming over. If you get a guy like Xavier Legette, could he be used in a similar role? I think so. Legette's really good after the catch. He's got strong hands. He can play inside and outside, a lot like Keon Coleman. A little bit faster, and I think you could use him more in this Kubiak offense, and an offense that's probably going to like to run the football. They run the ball a lot with Deebo Samuel out there in San Francisco, but I don't hate the Keon Coleman pick. All right, now keep in mind the Saints have no third or fourth round picks. So we jump all the way down to pick 150 in the fifth round. They got the Saints taking Leonard Taylor, the defensive lineman out of Miami. I really like this pick. I think this is a good value pick here in the fifth round. 6'3", 305, exactly what you need at defensive tackle. We talked about it last segment. They only have 3 defensive tackles right now on this roster. Now, he only had 6 sacks in 3 seasons at Miami, but he's a big run stuffer. That's what you need. Think about how bad your run defense was a season ago. It was the game against the Atlanta Falcons a couple days after Thanksgiving that they ran for over 220 yards on you. And that happened about 3 or 4 games in a row last year. There were some times where your run defense was a liability, to put it nicely. You get a Leonard Taylor in the middle of that defense, a big run stuffer to go alongside Brian Bresee, who is a similar size, who has similar attributes to a Leonard Taylor. That makes a nice 1-2 punch right there in the middle. And we know they got pretty solid pass rushers. I really like that pick. We moved to pick 168, still in the fifth round. They got the Saints selecting Kamal Hayden, cornerback out of Tennessee. He's a tall guy. He's got some weight on him. They got him at 6'1", 197. 6 interceptions in his college career, 3 just last season. 7 pass breakups. And keep in mind, he's coming from Tennessee. He's played at the highest level of ball that you can coming out of college. He was in the SEC. Where offense, it's so weird. 10, 15 years ago, it was, a defensive-minded conference. Now every offense in the SEC seems like they can score, and Kamal Hayden did a really good job for a number of years at Tennessee. We still don't know what's going to happen with Marshawn Lattimore. What's the status of him? I believe they're going to keep him, but there's always a chance that they don't. You also have a Deebo and Alontae Taylor, but behind those 3 guys, there's not a ton of depth at corner. I think Kamal Hayden, if nothing else, is a really solid depth piece, which for a rookie in the 5th round, that's what you're looking for, at least in the first year of their contract. You would like for them to go out there and make first-team all-rookie, but in the grand scheme of things, in the 5th round, if you can get a solid role player at a position of need where you lack depth, that's all you can ask for. It doesn't take long for the Saints to pick again. 2 picks later, round 5, pick 170. It's KT Leviston, the offensive tackle out of Kansas State. I love this. I love going dual tackle. I believe you need 2 tackles. A lot of people are like, well, you got to draft a tackle in the first round. Some have even said first and second round because Trevor Penning has not panned out. He has shown no ability to play left tackle. I don't believe you have a left tackle on your roster. You had a staple at right tackle for a number of years in Ryan Ramczyk. He has major knee issues. A lot of people think his NFL career might be over. There is a huge question mark surrounding Ryan Ramczyk right now. KT Leviston, 6'5", 331. A mountain of a man. He could play guard. He could play tackle. You need a guy like that, a guy that can move inside. Because what do you have at guard? I get the tackle's your biggest need, but Cesar Ruiz isn't it. You tried Trevor Penning at guard, and that didn't really work out. Now, you got your center figured out at Eric McCoy, but outside of that, I think the rest of the offensive line outside of center is a question mark. Here's where it gets really interesting. At pick 175 in the 5th round, you grabbed Keon Coleman out of Florida State in round 2. Well, PFF has the Saints selecting his teammate. It's quarterback Jordan Travis. This is a pick with great value for the 5th round. We saw what Travis can do when he's fully healthy. He was in the Heisman Trophy conversation last year about halfway through the season. Kind of tapered off a little bit. At the end of the year, he suffers that injury. Look, you're getting him in the late 5th round. I get it. There's injury concerns there, but you're not asking him to go in there and play right away. Jordan Travis is not a rookie quarterback that's going to go in there and start year 1. Can you develop him? You know that he has the talent. You know that he has the athleticism. If his medicals check out, I really like this pick in the 5th round. You got to start thinking about the future. Could Jordan Travis be that future? Maybe. The last one I want to look at is round 6, pick 190. It's linebacker Michael Barrett out of Michigan. I love this pick in the 6th round. He's 239 pounds, 6.5 sacks, and almost 140 tackles the past 2 seasons in Michigan. I mean, he was a staple on that Michigan defense that may have been the best defense in the entire country. All the hype was around their offensive line, Blake Corum, J.J. McCarthy, I get it. That defense was incredible. He was a big part of that. He played in big-time football games. He's a national champion with the Wolverines. You need help. Demario Davis is not getting any younger. You lose Zach Vaughn. I think you have solid starting pieces. But outside of those guys, a lot like a corner, there's not a lot of depth behind them. As far as the 6th round go, you're not going to do much better than a national championship winning linebacker that has over 140 career tackles in just the past 2 seasons. I love the Michael Barrett pick. For what it's worth, they have the Saints selecting safety Dominique Hampton with their 2nd 6th round pick, and then in the 7th, it's Bub Means, the wide receiver from Pitt. Stats don't jump out at you, but he had 17.2 yards per catch in his career at Pitt. All right, look, that's going to do it for our Saints talk for the day. Want to do a little bit of a fun segment coming up. It's Wednesday. Last time I filled in on OTB on a Wednesday, we did it. It was a lot of fun. I want to do it again. It's Would You Rather Wednesday. That's coming up right after this break here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All-Star Toyota Baton Rouge, allstartoyotabatonrouge.com. Go to All-Star Toyota right off of Airline in Goodwood today. Very conveniently located. Shout out All-Star. They just got me and my vehicle serviced up. I love it, right? Because when I bought the Siennas, I chose my level of warranty. And it's like what you're comfortable with, but I didn't even have to crack open my wallet for any of the services. Just good to go. And now, all those lights are off. And I mean, the engine lights and everything. It's just a good feeling after they've been on for a while. AllStarToyotaBatonRouge.com. AllStarToyota of BatonRouge.com. It is.
It's like Christmas lights. You don't want to turn them off.
No, I'm glad they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, they'll certainly do that for you. Go check them out if you're buying new, if you're leasing, or if you're renting. We tell you about the rental process every single day because nobody does it like All-Star does it. Everything is available. It is per day rental prices, fantastic pricing. Even if it's just for one day, they have got you covered. Check it out all online at AllStarToyotaBatonRouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Welcome back into Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob.
Wait, sorry, real quick.
Okay, what you got?
That was like perfect timing right there, and I didn't even time that up. Like it stopped, the guy stopped, the big voice guy stopped, and the lyrics started. That was beautiful.
Look at Alondra.
Hit
She's
the
making
post.
it
That's
happen.
what it's
Yeah.
called.
Well, look at that.
I just hit the post.
Don't even have to practice.
Nah.
Anyways, we ran a little long last segment breaking down that mock draft. I want to dive into it right now with a little Would You Rather Wednesday. Alondra, kick us off. What we got?
Okay, this first question's super dumb, and I honestly kind of don't even want to ask it, but I will. Would you rather the Cowboys win a Super Bowl or LSU never win another natty? Don't even say it. Don't even
as big of a
say it.
Cowboys fan as I am, LSU is second to none
Yeah.
to me. I would never choose. So, like, if the Cowboys win a Super Bowl, then LSU never wins another natty. No, I'm good. I've been a Cowboys fan all my life, and I've never seen a Super Bowl. The feeling and emotion you get when the school you grew up watching in the town that you grew up in winning a national championship. Now, obviously, I relate this to football more because that's the sport I follow closely, but it's not just football, it's anything. I mean, I was jumping around in my living room the other day when LSU gymnastics won the national championship. I'm not even a huge gymnastics fan. Look, I get it. I like to throw in Cowboys there because it gets under people's skin. T-Bob hates the Cowboys, his dad, their history. I get it. Nothing comes before LSU. It's not even a question.
Agreed. All right. Would you rather never eat dessert again or only eat dessert?
I'm going to go with never eat dessert again. I couldn't only eat dessert. One, I would get really fat, which doesn't seem fun.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, like if you're only eating dessert, you can't have any of the other good food. Louisiana cuisine gone. So like waffles don't count as a dessert. That's a breakfast food. Pancakes don't count as a dessert. That's also a breakfast food. I can still get my sweet kick without having dessert. What about you guys?
No, I would never eat dessert again. You're right.
Yeah,
Cassie?
I agree.
There's no way you can eat dessert for the rest of your life.
Does candy count as dessert?
No protein, huh?
Does candy count as dessert? Like gas station snacks? I would say no, but some people might say yeah.
I don't know.
I love candy.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm still going never eat dessert again.
All right, would you rather go to the Super Bowl or Game 7 of the NBA Finals?
So, I love the NBA Finals. I think it's an excellent sporting event. But outside of the game itself, the Super Bowl is just such a spectacle. You have the halftime show.
Yeah.
You have the player interviews after the game. You get to watch the confetti and all that. I'm going with the Super Bowl. I would love to go to an NBA Finals, but just because of everything outside of the game, they're both going to be good games. The Super Bowl is going to be super competitive. The NBA Finals is going to be super competitive. I'm picking the Super Bowl.
Same.
Cassie?
Yeah, I think I'd go to the Super Bowl.
Well, you seem like you'd be big into the halftime shows anyways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Would you rather have the power to travel to the past or the future?
Easily for me, it's the future. So
Wow.
I'm pulling a Shohei Ohtani. I'm going to go into the future, find out which team wins every major sporting event.
Yeah.
And I'm betting a house on every single one of them.
All right.
Then I'm coming back. And look, I'm going to be greedy, okay? I'm going to be the villain. I'm going to use that to my advantage. Care what happened in the past? It's in the past.
Yeah.
We saw it. We got over it. We made it through it together. We're better because of it. I want to go to the future. What says you?
I don't know. I'm very curious to see like what living in the past was like. So I think I would go in the past.
Okay.
But like way, way, way in the past. Like ancient times past.
Oh, like building of pyramids.
Yeah.
Okay. Way in the past.
I want to know how they built those pyramids.
Cassie?
I think I'd also go to the past.
Yeah.
Maybe not that far into
Yeah.
the past, but I think I'd like to go in the past. Maybe see some of my family history. That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah.
You guys both gave very thoughtful and well thought out answers, and I
Yeah.
just said that I was going to use it to my advantage to cheat and make money. So,
Yeah.
we'll see who has the moral issues here.
Yeah, I'd also probably go back to like watch bands that are dead that I've like always wanted to see.
That'd be
you know,
nice.
I think I would do that, and also, like I said, go back to ancient times because there's so many mysteries, and I want to know the answers to these mysteries. I want to go back to like you said, the pyramids. Were there aliens building those
How
pyramids?
were the pyramids actually built?
Yes. I need to know. That's the first thing I'm asking God when I get to heaven. All right, would you rather be a famous musician or a famous actor?
A famous actor, I feel like writing songs is hard. Also, like, making money off of music is not as easy nowadays as everybody thinks it is. There's so many places you can download it. You can listen on YouTube for free. I mean, unless you're somebody that's like a global superstar, like
Yeah.
a Taylor Swift or something that's selling out stadiums. I mean, you have to go on tour all the time to make any kind of serious money as a musician. Streams alone is not enough nowadays. The cost of streaming has gone down, and there's more streaming options. A lot of them are free. I'm going to be a famous actor. I feel like it's a lot less work.
Yeah.
You make one movie, and then you're good for like 2 years. Then I'll go into another one. You can't take that long off as a musician or you'll get passed up. I'm going actor.
Yeah, I think I'd go musician, just because I think it'd be super fun to like be up on stage, entertaining and dancing, and the crowd gets super into it. I think that would be the coolest part about it, like when the crowd starts singing your song back.
That is cool. I bet that is like the most electric thing. Like when you're coming out for your opening song, the
Yeah.
curtains are covered, whatever, the lights are off, and you come out to a screaming crowd. That does seem like the most
Like, it
energizing thing
chills.
for someone.
Yeah.
But I'm still going actor. Cassie?
I think I have to agree with Alondra. I think I'd rather be a musician. Yes, it would be harder, but there's nothing. I mean, I'm a dancer, so there's nothing better than like the feeling of being on stage, and that I feel like that'd just be awesome.
Yeah, Cassie has like experience in that.
That's true. You and Jesse both.
Oh yeah, grew up dancing since I was 2 years old.
All right, what we got next?
We already answered this one, so I'm gonna skip it to the last one. Would you rather fight a tiger or a shark? I'm gonna go for I always am gonna pick shark over whatever animal because we've done this where it was like gorilla or shark. I'm picking shark every single time because all you got to do is just punch it in the nose and it goes away.
I totally understand that. I'm looking at me. I'm losing to both of these animals. No doubt about it. I'm a lot better on land than I am in the water.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm going to go with a tiger. If I can hide from a tiger long enough, they may lose interest. You can punch the shark in the nose. My problem is I wouldn't be paying attention. That shark comes up from under you and grabs you.
I guess.
I don't stand a chance at that point. Now, I feel like you're more likely to survive a shark attack than you are an attack by a tiger.
Yeah.
But I'm losing to both of them, but I like my chances better on the land.
Fair.
So you're going shark. I'm going tiger. Cassie, you're the
100% going
tiebreaker.
shark.
I mean, I'd rather not be put in either of those positions.
That's not an option.
But I think I'd rather fight a tiger just because I'm not the best.
Dude, that
swimmer.
tiger's gonna mess you up for real.
I mean, the shark's gonna mess me up too.
I know. I think the tiger, like those cats are vicious.
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. I feel like you have a better chance of surviving a shark attack. A lot of times it's just one bite and go. But if I could just hide from the tiger and I see him before he sees me and I'm behind like a tree or a shrub or something,
I guess
the shark will find me and come from below. I'm good. I don't want to get bit at all. I want to take the easiest route possible out. So I'm good. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. Coming back, we're going to wrap it up. A couple players entered the transfer portal for LSU. One name, pretty interesting that he still has eligibility left. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
K to Z window coverings. KTOZ blinds.com. KTOZ blinds.com. You want window coverings that wow. You want to invest in your greatest asset, your home. Well, they have options for you no matter what your home situation is, right? Maybe you are in a starter home and you're looking for something more affordable. That's fine. They got you. Maybe you have finally made it. Congratulations. You're in the house of your dreams. Okay? You got like a theater room now. Damn, look at you. Maybe an office. You popping off, bruh. Well, guess what? We got options for you, too, to really knock your socks off aesthetically, but also functionally, right? Like, that's the key here. This is not just looks. This is about temperature management, light management. If you need a room to be blacked out for whatever reason, like a baby room, master bedroom, like theater room, any window covering, you already know the answer. It's K to Z, KTOZblinds.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150s, $10,000 off the new F-150 truck, plus 1.9% for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play. with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Welcome back into the final segment of hour number 2 on a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester. This news, a little bit before noon, it came out yesterday. Former LSU running back John Emery Jr. is in the transfer portal. He was the number 11 overall recruit in 2019. He finished his career at LSU, 151 carries, 9 touchdowns in 21 and 22. You obviously saw his production dip a little bit last fall. Adam Rittenberg was the first one to report it, but now it is everywhere. I'm going to be very honest. I had no idea that he was still on the team. And I guess he's not on the team because he's considered a grad transfer. It's probably one of those things where it's like, I'm not transferring because I'm done at LSU. I'm just entering the transfer portal. When I first looked at this, I was like, how does this guy have eligibility left? But when we broke it down, he signed in 2019. That was his freshman year. 2020 does not count because that was the COVID year. In 21, he was academically ineligible, but that counts as a year of your eligibility. So that's 2 years. 2022 he played, and then last year. So that's 4 years of eligibility. But because he's a graduate transfer and he has graduated, he apparently gets that year of eligibility back when he was academically ineligible. So he's only had 3 years that they are giving him credit for. He still has 1 year of eligibility left. John Emery is almost too old to be an NFL running back. Think about this. Derek Stingley Jr. was in that signing class with John Emery. Tyrion Davis-Price was the other running back in the 2019 signing class. He's heading into his 3rd year in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers. At this rate, TDP could be vetted in the NFL before John Emery finishes his college career. Because just because he has 1 year left, I mean, knock on wood, hope nothing happens to the guy, but if it does, injuries happen sometimes, he could apply for a medical red shirt and potentially get one of those. The transfer portal is crazy. I am so ready to be done with the COVID years because I have no idea what class anyone is anymore and how many years of eligibility we had left. I don't remember the guy's name, but he played at NC State last year. He was a big, tall wide receiver. He was in year 8 of college football. He went to Rice, then he went JUCO, then he went back to Rice, then he went to NC State. This is incredible. I had no idea that John Emery had any eligibility left. It was a name that I'd almost forgotten about. I mean, when I saw the tweet yesterday from Adam Rittenberg, I honestly thought it was a typo. I was like, that's got to be a different John Emery. It's the very same one. Now, there's no word yet on where John Emery is going to go or what teams are interested in him. I imagine it's going to be somewhere where he knows he's the guy. Probably somewhere group of 5. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Or someone that's just making that jump up. There was a lot of group of 5 schools a year ago that are making that move to the Big 12. They could use a former 5-star recruit to kind of beef up their roster a little bit. I guess my main question was, why leave? Unless he didn't have that option. Unless the coaching staff, it happens. Unless the coaching staff was like, hey, we don't have a spot for you. I mean, they're already crunching numbers, trying to get down below 85 so that they could sign some transfer portal guys because LSU's kind of a good spot for him. Now, the production was never there like we wanted it at LSU, but he showed flashes. I mean, you remember 2 years ago, he had the great run against Alabama for a touchdown. The same season, he was really good in the Auburn game, one of the key reasons you won that game. So he had flashes. It was just the consistency is what he lacked. But right now, you have Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson on this roster. Trey Holly's status is up in the air. We don't know what's happening with him yet. Now, you got Caden Durham coming in, but that's still only 4 running backs, and Kelly always uses at least 4 running backs. This would have been a good spot for him. But again, maybe it was one of those things where they were like, hey, we don't really have a spot for you. Thank you for your service. It's time for you to move on. And John Emery agreed. Again, we'll keep an eye on this. No word yet on like who's the early leader. But John Emery in the transfer portal has 1 year of eligibility remaining, at least 1 year of eligibility remaining. We will certainly be following his career very closely because, again, when that name popped up all over Twitter yesterday, you kind of raised an eyebrow. You're like, wait a minute. I thought we had seen the last of John Emery. Not so fast, though. All right, that's going to do it for hour 2 of OTB. We got 1 more hour left with you. We're going to be LSU football heavy. So give you a little preview. We're going to talk to Preston Guy at straight up 9 o'clock. He's going to give us some update on the transfer portal because it is the crazy world of the transfer portal and NIL here in college football. Could LSU be targeting a DB? We'll break that down. Some of the main guys at corner that the Tigers could be looking at. And then we're going to look at the other NFC South teams outside of the New Orleans Saints, where they sit in the draft, their biggest needs. Pro Football Focus put out a mock for all of those teams as well. We'll take a look at it, see what the Saints' biggest rivals may do in the upcoming NFL draft. Give you a little recap of what we did in hours 1 or 2. Hour 1 was baseball and softball heavy. We talked that a little bit. Also, the NBA playoffs with a little bit of New Orleans Pelicans. Pretty much wall-to-wall New Orleans Saints this last hour, and we had some Would You Rather Wednesday. Hour 3 coming up right after this. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, if you want to ignite your career, join the MMR Group. That's right. You want to work with the nation's largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the entire country? Well, I guess it's kind of redundant, nation's largest in the entire country. Well, you can join MMR because they're seeking talented individuals to join the team. For over 3 decades, MMR has been headquartered right here in Baton Rouge, but they got offices all over the globe, and they offer a tailored path for both professional and personal development. You couple that with outstanding benefits, a dynamic culture, and whether you're a student seeking an internship, beginning your career, or a seasoned pro, MMR has a variety of positions just for you. So build your future with MMR. Apply now at MMRGRP.com.
You go to that website, you can type in MMR Group into any search engine. It's going to pull that up as well, give you locations, give you a little bit about MMR, also give you the careers that they have available. Again, MMR Group in any search engine, MMRGRP.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Brack, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial products.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo. Taylor Sharp here with you on Off the Bench, filling in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Jake, hard at work at the NFL draft, and T-Bob, well, he's out hanging out in Florida for his brother's wedding. But I'm with you today, tomorrow, as well as Friday. Busy show so far. We talked LSU baseball and softball in hour number 1, and then last hour, very Saints and NFL draft heavy. Right now, though, I want to shift from the pro ranks to the college ranks, talk a little LSU and the transfer portal. And with that, I want to bring in Preston Guy from TigerBait.com. Preston, how are you today?
Hey, Taylor, what's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot, man. Thanks for hopping on with me this morning. Look, Preston, it is portal season, and it is the craziness of the transfer portal season. Obviously, LSU is targeting those defensive linemen. So, look, let's dive right into it. CJ West, Simeon Barrow, Dominic Williams. I mean, those have kind of been the three guys that have been linked to LSU. Where do they stand with those guys?
Well, Simeon Barrow left campus yesterday, and from all reports, it was a very good trip this weekend. He's number 1 on just about everybody's list when it comes to defensive tackles. But he didn't have a trip planned when he got here, but he's now taking an official visit. He's taking a visit to Miami. So the feel was yesterday that it was all LSU. Nobody else really had a visit planned. But Miami's coming, and the word I'm getting is Miami's making a strong push for him, and he's very interested. So that'll be a battle that continues to go on. Dominic Williams is locked in to take a visit Friday, and he'll be here all weekend long. He'd obviously be another huge pickup for this team, and we'll just have to see how that visit goes before we get more information. I do know that there's strong mutual interest, both parties. And then CJ West is a guy who's also visiting Miami. He doesn't have a visit date locked into LSU, but it's not going to be this week. It'd be a little bit later. So those are three guys. All three would be, plug and play starters at LSU right now. You really got to hit on at least one of those guys. You're down to 82 scholarship players now, which means you have more room. And the word on the street is they may get down to 79 or 80 before it's all said and done.
Now, Preston, we've talked about all three of those guys. Obviously, like you said, they are all plug and play. Is it just one of those things where it's like, hey, we're going to reach out to all these really talented players, hope we land one? Or do you think they have a specific pecking order in terms of which guy they hope to land?
Well, I think Simeon Barrow is a guy who, is number 1 on their list. I think they take all three if all three want to come, though, if that's what you're getting at. Certainly they've done their evaluations and have guys graded higher or lower than the other. But, the fact is they're completely decimated at defensive tackle right now. And they need guys. They need bodies, and they need quality and quantity at that spot. So looking at your roster needs, most of your spots are good on this team except for that one. So, I'm looking at what kind of positions they might take to fill up those 5 or 6 spots that are going to open up. And, I wouldn't be surprised if you see 3 or 4 defensive linemen come in this class.
Preston, another guy whose name kind of surfaced yesterday was Zach Swanson out of Texas.
Yeah.
Now, if you go look at his stats, it's nothing that jumps off the table. Actually played sparingly the last couple of years, but he's from Texas. He has familiarity with Bo Davis. What is LSU's chances with him, and what is it about him that Bo Davis likes so much?
Well, I think the familiarity with him and just knowing what you're getting, I think that would be more of a quantity fill, a guy you're hoping can come in and develop and do some stuff. I'm not so certain that you feel great if he's your lone defensive lineman you pull in because he just hasn't really produced that much. They want guys who've been on the field giving some experience, but obviously Bo Davis brought him in at Texas, so there's something you like there. I just wonder, how interested really is LSU in him, especially if they did have to make a decision between him and, say, a top-notch corner that happens to enter the portal. They don't really have any corners they're looking at right now, but if there's a great guy that comes in, they might look at him. So it's an interesting situation there. Maybe he's a guy they bring in should they miss on some guys in the portal. That's just me speculating. I don't have any inside scoop, but you would think that if you can land multiple of these guys who are future NFL players and have plenty of experience, like the three guys we just discussed, you would think that maybe there might not be a spot for a guy like Zach Swanson. We'll see, though.
Now, Preston, let's say worst case scenario, they don't land any of these guys out of the transfer portal. What does LSU's D-line rotation look like in the fall?
Well, it's going to be a lot of Jacoby and Guillory. I'll tell you what, that's probably the one defensive tackle they really feel good about. And then Jalen Lee would probably be your starter across from him, a guy who really hasn't played that much in his college career. I think he's 4 years into his college career and really hadn't cracked a dent at LSU or Florida. So beyond them, you're going to Sean Washington, the JUCO transfer. Dominic McKinley is going to be a guy who they're going to put on the fast track to developing and getting ready to go. But no, I don't think that you feel at defensive tackle. I don't think that you feel too good about that spot, honestly. And there's not too much you can do to kind of put makeup on that pig at that position because it's either you got grown men who are ready to stop the run and keep offensive linemen off your linebackers, or you don't. You know what I mean?
What have you made of Kimo McEneal? Because he moved over from O-line to D-line. We've rarely seen that work out, but I mean he's a guy whose name popped up quite a bit. How did he look in the spring?
He actually didn't look too terrible. He got a couple second team reps out there, was mixing in, and serviceable is what I would say he was. He's not exactly an explosive pass rushing type player, but he was able to hold some blocks and take up some space, and that's solid. At this point, you absolutely need a guy who can do just that essential role of eating up blocks. That's just such an important thing, and there's not really too many guys to do it, so you were severely lacking on depth. At one point, LSU actually had walk-ons filling in that second team role for spring ball, so that's not ideal in the least bit. So I didn't see anything that makes me think he's going to go out there and be the next Glenn Dorsey, but he definitely gave some serviceable reps.
Preston Guy of TigerBay.com joining us right now. Preston, it's a little unorthodox to look at this way, but as far as other additions in the transfer portal, I know there's not a ton of names out there, but is punter a spot that they could be looking? Because Brian Kelly was less than pleased with the performance in the spring game.
Yeah, I was thinking about if they got 5 or 6 spots to open, what they would fill those spots with. We were kind of chopping it up. We think 3 or 4 defensive linemen, very possible. A punter, probably, especially if you get a good one. The other thing is they do have Badger Hargett there, but I don't think they're too happy with the consistency of either of those guys. And Badger's a guy, by the way, who's about 5'8", so not exactly like a great tackling prospect, you know what I mean? Whereas, they really would like to have 11 guys who can make a tackle on the field. So Badger would have to be substantially better to get the punting job. So yes, maybe punter is a spot. Running back is another spot. I could see them adding a guy, especially based on how the Trey Holly's legal situation continues to play out. If they get a definitive answer and he's good to go, I think they're legitimately happy with the 4 guys if Trey Holly's there. If there's some question up in the air and there's a good running back available, I could see them going in that direction. And a corner is I could see them taking a very high-quality corner. They're not going for quantity. You don't need bodies at corner. You got guys transferring out at DB because you had 21 DBs on the roster. You had enough. The depth isn't your issue. You really need a quality player there who can, really do some good work locking down SEC receivers, because that's what you're lacking right now is that top-end talent at that position. So those are kind of what I have on my short list to keep an eye on, but we'll see what they do.
I'm glad you mentioned running back because yesterday it broke about noon that former LSU running back John Emery is in the portal. Were you as surprised that I was that this guy has eligibility left?
Yeah, I thought he was trying to get into the NFL personally, but I'm almost wondering, is this a situation like Bronny James where he enters the portal and the draft and then just sees where it goes, which direction works out? There's a real possibility that based on his body of work, he wouldn't sign with a team, not even as an undrafted free agent. And, in that case, it would be better for him to go play for another college team and actually get on the field. I think it's just time has told that, it just hasn't worked out for him. And he tore his ACL this year. So, if he was having trouble touching the field at all as it was, imagine after an ACL tear and if he doesn't heal 100%. I think he just needs to go to a small school and see if he can get some reps and show out what he's got.
Well, that was the thing with him, right? I mean, we saw the flashes. Everybody was always wanting more with John Emery, and it just never worked out. When you say small school, like, are you thinking group of 5 or are you thinking like FCS?
At least group of 5. Honestly, if I'm John Emery and I'm giving him advice, I'm saying, look, man, go to a very small FCS school. Go to whoever is the easiest school that'll give you 20 carries a game. Like, you got one shot at it. I think it's one shot. I don't know. He's been in college since the 90s. Just go somewhere you're not really going to have to compete that hard for reps and put some film together, because you don't really have film. You have flashes here and there, but if anything has defined John Emery's career, it's inconsistency on and off the field. So he's got to just put together some stats. He's got to put together, 1,000-yard season or something like that. I don't think it particularly matters what level. Just show you can go out there and be a guy to rely on. I wouldn't mess around with it and try to, go to a Power 5 school and show that you can do it at a high level or whatever. Just do it at any level is what I would advise him.
I want you to think about this. Tyrion Davis-Price is going into his 3rd year in the NFL, and he and Emery were in the same signing class. So not a lot of chances left for our guy, John Emery. Speaking of guys that entered the transfer portal from LSU, one that kind of came as a surprise to me was Joseph Cryer. He was an early enrollee. He was a guy that just signed in December. I mean, he'd basically only been here a couple of months. What was kind of the deal with that?
I think that there were guys in this class, and we've seen enter the portal here recently, who you were seeing like they weren't cracking the 3 deep, and it's one of those things where what's the writing on the wall for these guys, and you've been here a year or 2 years, whatever, and it's looking like another year of you getting buried on the depth chart. Okay, I get it. Enter the portal, get a new chance elsewhere. That's not the deal with him. He hadn't even had a chance to go out there and practice yet. So it's a little strange to see that. I don't think that's a guy who LSU coaches had to sit down and had to have a conversation with and say, hey, man, here's your future here. I think that's a guy who something came up and he decided it was best for him to start his college career somewhere else. It is a little strange. I do know coaches were high on him, but the fact of the matter remains that LSU still signed a very strong offensive line class with 5 other guys in that class. He was certainly a good piece to it, but they're still pretty happy with this offensive line class they're bringing in.
All right, Preston, before I get you out of here, you mentioned that we could see a couple more spots open up on LSU's roster, get down to 79, maybe 80 spots. total. Obviously not a specific player, but like, is there a position group where LSU fans need to keep an eye on?
Wide receivers an awfully deep room right now, even with Kai Preen hitting that portal. There's nobody who I would consider low-hanging fruit. The kind of guys who are older and getting buried on the depth chart. But it's 2024 in college football, and there's nothing, inhibiting you from hitting that portal if you so wish to. So that one, and I could see, I could see maybe maybe another defensive back, one or two maybe, just because there are so many there. But again, I think that at that spot, anybody who comes out and just plays average SEC play, is an average SEC corner, will have a chance to get a lot of good play time. So I think that how wide open that spot is could compel some guys to stay, but there's plenty of bodies to give there. So I would look at those two spots, but no, I don't have anybody specifically in mind. It's always somebody who kind of surprises you, isn't it?
All right, Preston Guy from TigerBait.com. Preston, you've been so gracious with your time. I've kept you long enough. Thanks for hopping on with me, man.
All right, guys. See y'all soon.
Yeah, see you later. That was Preston Guy of TigerBait.com. We're going to take a quick timeout. Coming back on the other side of this, it's more LSU football. We're going to look at some cornerbacks in the transfer portal, give you my thoughts on that. Coming back here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
CentralPlumbing.org, 925-8552, 925-8552. Go to CentralPlumbing.org today if you have any plumbing problems, man. The Payne family's been at it for 50 years, guys. It's 5 decades to take care of your plumbing needs. What does that mean? It means a few things. You can't hit them with a problem they don't know how to solve. I don't care if it's an old house, new house, business, residential, whatever, they got you. They have a massive fleet that can service you. They have flat rate pricing. Everybody's licensed, bonded, and insured, and an excellent warranty coverage once the work is done. So you need your pipe fixed. You need to lace some pipe. You need a new toilet. Whatever the case may be, you want to go to CentralPlumbing.org.
Good to know, T-Bob. Go to CentralPlumbing.org. That is the website where you can see what they can do for you in the remodel game.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like, I didn't even think we had any problems, but sure enough, keep showing up at the house. See that truck outside every afternoon, especially when I'm not supposed to be there.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Reach out, touch faith.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Welcome back into Off the Bench. Got about 30 minutes or so left with you here on this Wednesday. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for T-Bob, A-Bear, and Jacob Hester. Making some friends in the chat. My guy Leonardo da Vinci just continues with the nice comments. Big fan of that guy. Do want to point out, Preston was talking a little bit about cornerbacks in the transfer portal. It's something I want to look at because a report came out the other day that LSU has contacted Colorado transfer Cormani McClain. Now, you all remember McClain and his recruiting. He was a 5-star recruit. He was committed to Miami in October of 2022, but he flipped to Colorado in January just after Deion Sanders was hired, and then he ultimately signed with the Buffaloes. He was one of the first commits to Colorado after they hired Deion Sanders. He was a 5-star recruit. He was the top cornerback in the country coming out of Lakeland High School in Florida. And then, of course, that wild recruitment with him in Miami, then flipping to Colorado. He's since been in the portal, and there's been a lot of issues with him. When he entered his name in the portal on Friday, you heard a report from Deion Sanders come out and say, well, I would like for the guy to show up on time, to watch more film. I think he has a lot of maturing to do. Now, how much of that is true? How much of that is embellished? I don't know. You guys know me. It is no secret that I am not a big Deion Sanders fan. However, I'm going to take Deion for his word on this one and say that it's at least a little bit true. He may have exaggerated a little bit, may be mad that this guy's leaving his program, as well as a mass exodus of other players that don't want to play for Deion now, but there's going to have to be at least some truth to this. The biggest thing I've seen, when McClain talked about the 11 schools that contacted him, LSU was on that list. Florida and Miami were not. And those were the teams that recruited him the heaviest initially coming out of high school. So maybe they heard something as well and decided to back off. You would think that, look, it's a lot like Jordan Gilbert, right? He's at LSU now. LSU wanted him. He went to Texas A&M. He enters the portal, and as soon as he enters the portal, LSU jumped all over him. You did not see the Florida schools do that with Cormani McClain. So maybe there is a little bit to it. McClain, for what it's worth, pushed back on it. And he said, look, I don't want to play for clicks. I want to go play for a coach that actually wants to win, that actually wants to see me develop. Now, I don't think Deion Sanders is a very good football coach. I have made that clear. Me and T-Bob have went back and forth on this numerous times on this show. But if you're a defensive back, let's be honest with ourselves. As far as hands-on coaching, there's probably not a ton of people better than Deion Sanders, at least at that specific position group. So, McClain, I got a hard time believing that. Now, I do understand you don't want to play for clicks things. You take the good and the bad with Deion Sanders, right? He's brought a ton of publicity to that program, but maybe it's a little bit too much. Maybe it's too much flash. Maybe it's too big of a spotlight. That spotlight is not for everyone. Maybe McClain's one of those players. Now, as far as cornerbacks in the transfer portal outside of Cormani McClain, because we just talked to Preston, right? And what did he say? It's going to be somebody who can come in and be a starter, someone who has starting experience. While McClain might be the most talented guy out there, he's probably the most coveted guy in the transfer portal. He hasn't played a ton. He played sparingly a year ago, and that was his only year of college football. There's two guys I want to highlight that have actually played in big-time football games, that have a lot of experience, that could come in and possibly help you in the secondary that needs a lot of help. First one I want to highlight is Deani Hill from Marshall. So he played 2 years with the Thundering Herd. He didn't do much his first season, but in 2023, he played in 13 games. He's played in 23 games total in college. In 2023, he recorded 55 tackles. He reeled in an interception. It's not bad for the cornerback spot. He's also got pretty good size as well. He's over 6 feet tall. The biggest issue with Deani Hill, through no fault of his own, is that he was at the group of 5, right? If you're looking for someone to start right away, can he make that jump up a level in competition? Now, Marshall's been a good program for a long time. We saw him upset Notre Dame a couple years ago. But that's going to be the issue with him. If you're targeting a guy out of the portal and you need for him to come in and start, I think he's got to have Power 5 experience, at least a little bit. Second guy I want to look at is a guy whose name kind of surfaced in the portal about 48 hours ago, and it was a pretty big surprise. It's Ed Woods from Arizona State. He's a redshirt senior. He has 1 year of eligibility left. He's appeared in 32 games for the Sun Devils. He was a part of the 2020 recruiting class. Look, he had been running with the ones in spring camp. He was in that starting group. He was expected to be in line for a starting position come this fall. Last season, he had 33 tackles. He forced 2 fumbles. He had an interception. This is a guy that was a pretty decent recruit coming out of high school. There were a lot of programs that were after him. He ultimately signed with Arizona State, played well. I mean, I just mentioned it. He was in line to be a starter. He played in 32 games. 33 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, an interception. There's something going on at Arizona State, though. I'm not quite sure what it is. But, Dillingham, when they hired him, they were all really excited about him. Ed Woods is not the only big-time player on that team to enter the transfer portal lately. They've had about 8 guys enter the portal in the last 2 weeks, and a lot of them were guys that they were really going to count on. So if you're LSU, and let's say you do get to that 79, 80 scholarship number that Preston was talking about, okay, you know they want 2 or 3 defensive tackles. And keep in mind, the number they're at now, that includes Gio Paez, that includes the guys that have already signed and just have not made it on campus yet. Let's say you get one of West, Barrow, and Dominic Williams. You get one of those guys, and then you bring in Zach Swanson as a depth piece. So you get 2 of those guys. That puts you at 82. I imagine they're going to dip into the portal for a running back and a corner. Right now, as far as experience goes, there's not a guy out there that really has much more than Ed Woods. I think he's a solid player. He's a big-bodied guy. He's played in a lot of big-time football games. Arizona State, that's a program that's in limbo. When the Pac-12 was disbanded and USC and UCLA, Washington, Oregon, they all left, Arizona State was kind of left in the wings. So it makes sense, at least for me, why Ed Woods would enter the transfer portal. He wants to be part of one of those big-time conferences now. Something that Arizona State, they got left behind, plain and simple. They're not going to be that. That's an extra spot in the college football playoff. It's going to be 3 SEC teams, 3 Big 10 teams. Everybody else is fighting for those other spots. Whether it's at large, whether it's 2 from the Big 12, the ACC. So it makes sense from Ed Woods. Does it make sense for LSU? I think it does, because who do you have on your roster right now? Ashton Stamps has kind of been the constant there. He was a freshman that came in. He was not an early enrollee last year, but, he made the most of his opportunity in fall camp. He's a name that we kept hearing over and over and over in fall camp leading up to the season. Didn't get a ton of play early in the year, but got some starts later in the year. And while it was a mixed bag, first off, everyone on the defense was a mixed bag. Secondly, I thought he did some nice things. He's got a good size on him. He's got a frame to where he can put on some weight. He was still young. He was a true freshman a year ago. Javian Toviano's out there. He started a lot of games last year. When Zy Alexander went down, you went Jeremiah Hughes, who's now in the portal, and then Javian Toviano was kind of the next guy up. He was hit or miss at times, but he's also a guy that can play corner as well as safety. We've talked about it a lot on this show. What's his natural spot? Is it corner or is it safety? We're not quite sure one way or the other. You got Zy Alexander coming back. He's not going to be available till fall camp. He had that knee injury. What's he going to look like? Is he going to be a step slow because of that injury? I thought he was your best corner last year before he went down. And then you have a lot of talent. You bring in a Jair Brown from Ohio State. You still have J.K. Johnson. So these are guys that have played, but they're not running with the ones right now. The ones has been Ashton Stamps and Javian Toviano, and then recently, true freshman early enrollee P.J. Woodland has came in and kind of grabbed that spot from Toviano. You watch the practices later in spring. You go back and watch the spring game. It was Stamps and Woodland. And Woodland's a guy that's only about 170 pounds. He needs to put on some weight. Now, I'm excited about Woodland's potential. I've seen him practice, and then by all accounts, they are very high on him. I'm not sure he's ready to play, though. He's got a lot of work to do in the weight room. I mean, do you want your 170-pound true freshman corner out there playing against USC in week 1? If he's good enough, sure, but I don't know if that's your best option. Maybe aim a little bit higher than that. Ed Woods is a guy that you can look at. He's played a lot of football. I think that's your option number 1. Now, if that falls through, you can give Deani Hill a call, whether he's a starter or quality depth piece. He's played a lot of college football, but Ed Woods from Arizona State, a name to keep an eye out on. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We got 2 more segments left with you. When we get back, we're going to look at the NFC South, so the teams outside of the New Orleans Saints. We mock draft the Saints earlier. We're going to look at the other 3 teams, the Falcons, the Bucs, and the Panthers. What do they need? Who's being mocked to them in the first round? That's coming up here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
CentralPlumbing.org, 925-8552, 925-8552. Go to CentralPlumbing.org today if you have any plumbing problems, man. The Payne family's been at it for 50 years, guys. It's 5 decades to take care of your plumbing needs. What does that mean? It means a few things. You can hit them with a problem they don't know how to solve. I don't care if it's an old house, new house, business, residential, whatever. They got you. They have a massive fleet that can service you. They have flat rate pricing. Everybody's licensed, bonded, and insured, and an excellent warranty coverage once the work is done. So you need your pipes fixed. You need to lace some pipe. You need a new toilet. Whatever the case may be, you want to go to CentralPlumbing.org.
Good to know, T-Bob. Go to CentralPlumbing.org. That is the website where you can see what they can do for you in the remodel game.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's like, I didn't even think we had any problems, but sure enough, keep showing up at the house. See that truck outside every afternoon, especially when I'm not supposed to be there.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into Off the Bench. Just about out of here for the day. We got 2 more segments left with you. Mentioned it a little bit before we went into break. Want to look at the NFC South teams, their draft needs, where they are picking, where they've been mocked to. We broke down that mock draft for the Saints earlier. Let's now look at the Saints rivals, and we will start with the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons pick 8 overall. They could go in a variety of spots. They could also trade down. What we know they're not going to do is they're not going to take a quarterback. They had the big offseason signing when they grabbed Kirk Cousins from Minnesota. They could go receiver and help out Kirk Cousins because outside of Drake London, you don't have a ton. I mean, Bijan Robinson can catch passes out of the backfield, but they don't have a ton of natural outside receivers outside of Drake London, and I think London's great. Now you have Kyle Pitts at tight end. Are they finally going to use Kyle Pitts now that you have a new coaching staff? I mean, I'm sure Falcons fans certainly hope so. How about D-line? D-line was a big issue for the Falcons a year ago, and also secondary. Well, PFF put out a mock for the Atlanta Falcons, and in round 1, they have the Falcons taking Rome Odunze, the wide receiver out of Washington. You know, we've spent so much time on this show, other shows, national media, wherever, breaking down the difference between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. Now, we on this show are firmly in the Malik Neighbors category, and I don't think that's just LSU bias speaking, although from the outside looking in, maybe it is. But Rome Odunze is kind of a forgotten guy, right? I mean, this is a guy that put up a ton of numbers at Washington in a high-powered, wide-open, throw-it-all-over-the-yard offense. And he wasn't the only one. I mean, he had Jalen Polk, he had McMillan along with him. Michael Penix Jr. was the Heisman runner-up a year ago. And Rome Odunze was a big part of why. But it just kind of seems like so much of the conversation has been, hey, should Malik Neighbors be ranked ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr., that Rome Odunze has been kind of an afterthought. Rome Odunze is a very good prospect, and he was a really good college wide receiver. I think that if Rome Odunze falls to you at 8, with Harrison Jr. and Neighbors already off the board, I think you jump on that. I love that pick. And then, so the Falcons also have 43 in the second round. They got them going D-line there, interior defensive line. They haven't taken Braden Fisk out of Florida State. We all remember Braden Fisk. Braden Fisk and Jared Verse gave you a heck of a lot of issues in the opening game this season. I think that would be good for them. They had a running game that struggled as far as stopping the run on defense. Their pass rush needs to get a little bit better. Braden Fisk can do both of those things. I think those are both 2 good picks. I mean, those are A+ picks in my mind. Now, as far as the Bucs go, they need a lot of help in the secondary. They had a lot of injuries in the secondary last year, but even their normal starters outside of Antoine Winfield left a lot to be desired. O-line's a possibility. They need a new center. I mean, we remember last year kind of had this makeshift offensive line, and you were like, hey, Baker Mayfield's a little bit smaller than your average NFL quarterback. Is he going to hold up? Now, he held up quite well, but Can they do that again? They got to shore up that offensive line. They also need linebacker on defense. Now, you still have Levante David. You paid him. You want to commit to him long term. You lost Devin White. He was a big piece of that defense for a number of years. He's now in Philly. Now, if you're a Bucs fan, I don't know if you're as concerned about it as an LSU fan would be because, Devin White was kind of beat out last year by KJ Britt. But outside of Levante David and KJ Britt, you don't have a ton. You don't have a ton at linebackers. So linebacker, secondary, O-line, and PFF in round number 1. So the Buccaneers have the 26th pick. So late in the first round, they're going to take in Jackson Powers Johnson, center out of Oregon. That's what we just talked about. You got to shore up that offensive line for Baker Mayfield. You had him on the cheap a year ago, and he exceeded everyone's expectations. You gave him a big contract in the offseason. You have to protect your investment in him and make sure that investment pays off. You have the weapons on the outside. You re-signed Mike Evans. You still have Chris Godwin on the roster. Trey Palmer had a lot of flashes as a rookie. He looks like a solid piece there as well. Cade Otton, one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL. You got to build that wall for Baker up front, though. And that's exactly what PFF has the Buccaneers doing. 26 overall, they had him taking Jackson Powers Johnson. And then we talked about the defense, right? In the second round, it's Marshawn Kneeland. Now, Marshawn Kneeland, he's a little bit of an under-the-radar guy. He's from Western Michigan, but a pretty productive player in college. He's got the size you need. He's got the speed you need. He's a guy that's kind of been rising up draft boards a little bit. In fact, on PFF's big board, they have him as the number 63 overall player, so they have him firmly in that second round. I think that's a good pick because not only are you shoring up your O-line in the first round with Powers Johnson, the Saints have questions at O-line. We saw how bad the Panthers O-line was a year ago. Falcons need a little bit of help on the O-line. So you're shoring up your offensive line, but you're also getting stronger on the D-line. Those are two really good picks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lastly, I went with the Carolina Panthers because, well, they don't have a first-round pick. They traded that away to the Chicago Bears, which is why Chicago's now picking 1 and 9 to go up and get Bryce Young. So what do the Panthers need? I think they need a quarterback. I've been very vocal about that, but obviously that's not happening. Pass catchers. They need pass catchers in a big way. Adam Thielen was solid for you this year. He was a nice veteran signing. He's getting older, and then outside of Thielen, everyone else has been kind of a toss-up. DJ Chark was a little bit disappointing. Terrace Marshall's never been able to stay healthy. You need help at tight end. You got Miles Sanders and Chuba Hubbard at running back. They're decent pass catchers, but they're not a guy that you're going to consistently throw the ball to out of the backfield. You also need help on that O-line as well that we talked about when we were discussing that Tampa defense. So where do the Panthers go? Because again, they do not have a first-round pick. For what it's worth, PFF does not have them trading back up into the first round. Now, they have the very first pick of the second round. It's pick 33 overall. Like we talked about with them needing pass catchers, they're taking Ladd McConkey at 33. It's a guy that a lot of Saints fans were hoping would fall to him at 45. Most mock drafts have him rising up that board. PFF has him as the 32nd best player overall, so he's picked right where he's slotted on their big board. McConkey's a really good player. He can line up in the slot. We saw him out wide at Georgia. He was catching a lot of deep routes, but I think in the NFL, Hester made the comp the other day about Hunter Renfrow, but he was quick to point out Ladd McConkey's a much better athlete than Hunter Renfrow. Renfrow's a good route runner. He's a good pass catcher. He didn't have the speed that McConkey has. I don't think he has the downfield ability that McConkey has. I think McConkey has a more complete route tree than Renfrow. You pair that with an Adam Thielen, you know what Thielen's going to give you. He can do a little bit of everything. He's getting older, but he's still a really solid receiver. That's not a bad 1-2 punch. And remember, they have 2 second-round picks. So at number 2, at 39 overall, we were just talking about it a second ago, pass catchers, they've taken Jatavian Sanders, who outside of Brock Bowers, a lot of people think might be the best tight end in this draft if you take away Brock Bowers. I really like both of those picks for the Carolina Panthers. Again, I don't think Bryce Young is the answer there. I thought it was a mistake when they drafted him. I never saw the hype that everyone else did out of Alabama. I thought he was ranked as high as he was because of the name on the front of his jersey, not necessarily what he actually did. I get it. Heisman winner, all that, I got it. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have success in the NFL. But they got to try. They gave up a lot of draft capital to move up and get Bryce Young. They got to do everything they can to put Bryce Young in a position to succeed. Grabbing a pass catcher like McConkey and Sanders is a good way to start. All right, we're going to take a timeout. We're going to come back, and like we do every day, we're going to wrap it up with Ask the Bench. That's coming up next here on Off the Bench. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Community Steel Company, CommunitySteelCo.com. Go to Community Steel today if you need purlin, tubing, steel building, sheet metal, accessories, whatever the case may be. Community Steel has you, man, and they're live, local. They have the best prices because they buy the steel directly from the wholesaler, the manufacturer, everything right there on site. I mentioned the live and local sales team, right? An actual human sales team that you get to know, form relationships with. They know how to best serve your business. And the fact that they're in Gonzales, man, you literally just go pop over and see the product and get to know them in person. It's not email relationships. I'm filling out online order forms. Ask any questions that you want. Look, there's a reason why all these national steel companies are pissed off at Community Steel, and it's because they are disrupting the industry by better serving their customers. So go see them today. Community Steel Company, CommunitySteelCo.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into the final segment of the Wednesday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester. Okay, so people in the chat are flooding us with questions, but it's going to turn into a half Ask the Bench, half Dis or Dak, because people apparently love that segment the last time we did it. But we'll start with an Ask the Bench, and I'm interested to see Alondra and Cassie's thoughts on this, if they have an answer. Ask the Bench. This comes from Brian Burgess. Favorite sports car? What do you guys got?
Probably a Lambo.
Okay. A specific
Or
kind, or
Ferrari.
just like in
no,
general?
I don't know. So when I was a kid, my uncle gifted all the cousins, and like I mentioned before, all my cousins are boys, so I think I just kind of got one by default. They gave us like these remote control sports cars, and it was a red Ferrari. And ever since then, I've been super into red Ferraris.
Cassie?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Lambo.
All right, so y'all are going more modern. This is fun because I'm going a classic car. I'm going to go a 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS. In my opinion, it is one of the best sports cars ever made. It is my personal favorite. A neighbor of mine has a Chevelle in his garage. Not sure of the year. It's green, and it's got these two white racing stripes across the top. It's awesome. I always want to stop by and ask him about the car, but I also don't want to be weird, so I've chickened out about every time. Still haven't had a conversation with him about that, but yeah, it's got to be the Chevelle. Okay, here you go, Alondra. Ask the Bench, who has produced more LSU baseball victories, Taylor or Alondra?
So I think they've specified it to this season.
Yes, this season.
Okay. I'm inclined to say me, only because like you've been picking up a lot like from now.
Yeah.
But like at the beginning of the season, I feel like I did a lot of them.
You did, yeah, because I was doing the VSN thing with Episcopal.
Yeah, so just for that reason, I'm inclined to say that I have. Because you've picked up a lot more of the SEC series than I have.
I was thinking that too. Like out of conference, you had a lot of them, and like obviously they were a lot better out of conference. Now I'll tell you, for a while, I did not have a single loss, but that's changed recently. But I haven't done the number you have, so I think like winning percentage, it would be pretty similar. I think total number, it's definitely you. Okay, here's one. Here's a Dis or Dak, and Nookie asked, Dis or Dak? Hunt Palmer calling you at 8 a.m. telling you he's too sick to host, or Dak Prescott? Dak Prescott, Hunt Palmer's the worst. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't 8:15. It was about 6:30 in the morning. I had plenty of heads up, plus Hunt was very gracious, helping me schedule all the guests and everything, so we were good to go. It's close. It's close, but I'm still taking Hunt Palmer.
Hunt just kind of sucks, period.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I like my guy Hunt, but
there is the salsa. He doesn't like salsa. That takes
on anything.
Yeah.
Like doesn't like salsa on anything. Is he just not a
doesn't
spice
like
guy? Like
bananas
what's
either.
his
What's I'm
his
not
issue?
gonna be surprised if I see him pop up in the chat right now.
All right, here you go, Alondra. Dis or Dak?
Okay.
Getting hit in the head with a 109-mile-an-hour home run, or Dak Prescott?
I love that guy. Yeah, I think I'm taking the Tommy Tank to the head 100%. I mean, that guy was fine.
Plus, he's on TV. He's a local celebrity now. He's
So
probably
Doug
going to get to
Thompson-
meet Tommy White.
Doug Thompson told me that he was on Fox and Friends this morning.
Wait, like national Fox and Friends?
Yeah, like Brian Kilmeade and all them.
Yeah, okay, that guy. That guy's living life. I'm definitely taking that one. All right.
Well, it don't feel good.
Yeah, it don't feel good. Maybe Tommy White can come kiss his boo-boo on Friday. I would keep dreaming there. Ask the Bench, favorite casino to go to or favorite casino game?
I mean, the only one that I've been to here is L'Auberge, so I don't really have a good reference. I went to a few in Vegas, but my favorite game, I kill it in blackjack. Like, that's where I win all my money. And then once I'm up, I stop. Like, I'm not a good gambler because once I'm up, I stop playing. So it's not like I'm actually gambling. I'm just playing.
Cassie, you probably don't have an answer. Didn't you just turn 21 like 2 months ago?
I did. I just turned 21 in February, so I haven't been to a casino yet.
We got to take Cassie to casino.
Yeah.
Cassie, they give you free drinks while you're playing.
That's
Did you
pretty
know
awesome.
that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
actually.
they give you free. There's like a girl walking around asking you what you want while you're playing.
That's
and
pretty
they give you
awesome.
free drinks. Yeah, so sometimes you could just sit at the slots and just get free drinks.
Yeah.
Cassie, hang out with me. You'll learn a thing or two.
I'm not a big gambler by any means. I have played blackjack one time in my life at a casino. Now, we played
some blackjack.
Growing up, we
Yeah.
played all the time. Like,
Yeah.
my dad taught me, my brother, my sister how to do it. I went to LaBerge. Me and my dad, it was actually for my birthday back in 2018. I think I was 22, something like that. We're going to see Clint Black. He was performing
Ooh.
at LaBerge.
Yeah.
And after the concert,
Killing time.
yeah. After the concert, we went to the casino, and he's like, "Here, I'll spot you. I'll give you $40, and I'll get $40
Oh,
too." And we both
gosh.
said that. It was like a $20 limit,
Yeah.
so we put 40 down, because we're high rollers,
Right.
And I lost it. It took me about 30 minutes. I sat there for about 30 minutes, but look, I lost $40. No big deal. No
Is what
harm,
it
no
is,
foul,
yeah.
and I had a good story to tell. That's the only time I've ever actually played any game in a casino. Not a
Yeah.
big gambler. I'm a little cheap by nature.
Fair.
Victoria could probably tell you that better than
Yeah.
anybody, but
Frugal.
yes,
Yeah,
frugal.
you're frugal.
We'll go with frugal. That sounds a lot better and a
Yeah.
lot more nicer than
And
cheap.
cheap, yeah.
All right, look, that's going to do it for a Wednesday edition of Off the Bench. We had a jam-packed show today, had a lot of fun in the process. We talked LSU baseball, LSU softball, a little bit of NBA playoffs. Hour 2, very Saints-heavy. We had Ken Trahan on from Crescent City Sports. And then in hour number 3, it was LSU football. Preston Guy from TigerBay.com, as well as some cornerbacks in the transfer portal. That's going to do it. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Rejuve Me Medical, restore me, refuel me, rejuve me. RejuveMeMedical.com or go see him today. Remember, Baton Rouge, Metairie, Slidell, Shreveport, now Monroe as well. You go and get your free consultation. They draw your labs, and then your body becomes a guide to put together a plan for you to treat the untreated effects of aging. Maybe this is something like HRT or semaglutide. Maybe it's a B vitamin shot. Maybe it's not. Like we were something the other day, they do Botox as well. Like they offer a plethora of services to get you feeling young and good again. Go to Rejuve Me Medical, RejuveMeMedical.com.
Yeah, once you get that website, we always encourage you to get your consultation set up, top right corner of that website, because maybe you're dealing with something, you don't know what it is. They are going to get to the bottom of it over at Rejuve Me, but you can't do it unless you get that consultation set up at RejuveMeMedical.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team.